and you're going, man, that is way down there. But here's Lawrenceville, which is kind of the center of Brunswick County along Route 58. And south of Route 58 are the folks that want to be watching. So if you're in Lawrenceville, you're not in the warning, but at this point you want to be thinking about, okay, where do I go if I'm in Lawrenceville? Be ready to take shelter. And I think Brunswick County may have actually closed their public schools during the day today, but if there's anybody at school or at work, you should be thinking now in Lawrenceville, you know, where do we go? Where's an interior room that's away from windows? But south on 46, you run into it. And again, I'll show you some of the streets here that you need to be taking shelter in some of the neighborhoods. Obviously Route 46, but that's called Dry Bridge Road. So we're basically in, let me pan this picture down. We're in we're about as far south in our viewing area. We're as far south as our viewing area as you get, the southern portion of Brunswick County. So we'll switch over here now and give you an idea as to what this looks like here. And let me pan the map one more time and see what the radar, yeah, this is, Rachel, you with me that this looks like it hadn't even come into Virginia yet?
Yeah, that looks like that rotation couplet isn't even over the state line. The radar, of course, just a little bit behind, but they are saying it's radar indicated, and it's nice to get a little bit of that prep time to find your safe spot.
Yeah, so if you're in southern portions of Brunswick County, we want you to be ready. All right, you're set up to take over, Rachel, for just a little bit?
Yeah,
you want me to stick with it a little bit?
I'll show you that tornado watch for a second.
So again, southern Brunswick County, you need to be seeking shelters. It looks like a tornadic thunderstorm is on the other side of the state line and headed your way.
Yeah, and we've kind of been talking about that time frame from 11 o'clock this morning until 3 is that sort of framing of where we're expecting the biggest threat of severe weather, and that's when that tornado watch does expire, but not until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So even though we just have that one tornado warning out for southern Brunswick County, everyone should start to be thinking about their safe place with that tornado watch in place for really most of central Virginia as we head into the next couple of hours. And just going over sort of where that safe spot is, and maybe if you don't know, you're wanting to stay away from windows indoors, cover your head with a blanket, a helmet, or pillows, maybe even going into your bathtub and covering up yourself with those blankets, helmets, and pillows, things to just really protect your head from potential flying debris. And look where this green highlighted area is, the hallway, stairs, interior closet, interior bathroom. And of course, here in central Virginia, a lot of us have basements. So basement is going to be the best place to seek shelter, to stay away from that flying debris that we could see with that potential funnel cloud and a tornado. First alert Doppler radar showing you now where that tornado warning continues to churn. We're going to see an area of potential rotation and some lightning now moving out over the state line. And Andrew, if you want to come over here and maybe press some of those fancy buttons that you have. But again, we're seeing this continue to move north at about 30 miles per hour. Yeah, and that's the one game in town. You know, it's the one game in town, but it's not entirely. We think that either this line moves through, the line that's got that tornado warning embedded in it, either it moves through and you get a big downpour and a big gusty wind, you know, over the next few hours, that line's going to slide east, or we could continue to have a few more of these tornado warnings. And we kind of think there's spots in the atmosphere that really want to twist. It's not this stuff over here. Like if you're in Williamsburg, I would think you're okay for the time being. That batch of rain up in Caroline County is not really doing anything, but Charlottesville all the way down through Lunenburg and Mecklenburg County, it is that line right there that is sliding to the east. And so we're again going to zoom in here on Brunswick County. So I'll hit the on-screen buttons here and we'll do a zoom just to give you an idea. And again, this is moving slowly. The National Weather Service is tracking this one moving to the north at about 25 or 30 miles an hour. And we're starting now in the southwestern portion of Brunswick County to see some lightning as well. The expiration time of that warning down here, let's take a quick look at that one. I think the expiration time of this warning south of the state line is at noon, and then it's at 12:15 for us. So that's again, oh, and we should mention it does include a little bit of a portion of Mecklenburg County. That's the far western side of Mecklenburg County. So we'll show you the map again. We'll take the data off and you'll take a look. But this is southern Brunswick, eastern Lunenburg County to the south of South Hill. And just take another quick look at where it is rotating. You can see that rotating cell right there very clearly. And so this is a good bit away from Lawrenceville. If you're in Lawrenceville, I'd be on high alert, but I wouldn't be in your safe space just yet. Totero, same thing. Powelton, same thing. As we put the map on, you can see that the warning does not include anything other than the southern portion and the western portion of Brunswick County. And let's show you again some of the streets here because I think it could be helpful. Well, let me hit
I'm going to zoom in a little bit more first. But we want to give you, there aren't a whole lot, this is rural portion of the Commonwealth, so we can't give you a whole lot of villages in here, but we can label streets for you. And the areas that need, there's Tillman Road. Now these are south, these are all Robinson Ferry, these are all south of Route 58. So if you're in Brunswick, be picturing, if you don't have a map to look at, if you're south of 58 and you're along 46 or west, you should be at a really high level of concern and should be working your way toward your safe space as we speak. That's Elam Road down here. These are all areas to be concerned about. That's Gasburg Road, Dry Bread Road, as we talked about, Robinson Ferry. Those are all the roads out here in the far southern and western portion of Brunswick County. And I'm going to show you real quick so that we can, I have that available for you, the places that you want to go in those areas, right? If you're in southwestern portions of Brunswick County. An internal room is basically the place you want to be, as you want to find your safe space here in the central portion of a home, away from windows. That's really the number one thing, right? This is not a monster Midwest tornado, but if you can get yourself, it's pretty easy to do. When we found the safe place in our house, we said, okay, how many walls can we put in between us and the outside, and how many windows do we see in the room we're in? And for us, it's an interior hallway. It could be an interior hallway in your home. If you have a basement, that's great, obviously. But an interior bathroom or a closet is often the safest place to be in a tornado. So that tornado warning continues until 12:15. I'm going to head over to Rachel now. And again, that's the only game in town. We just have that one tornado right now, but we're watching that line closely.
Yeah, and continuing again to move north at about 30 to 25 miles per hour. So it's not moving too quickly, but we are seeing that area of lightning starting to move in now. Let's see if I can get these to work. But we're keeping an eye on this very closely because it is moving northward into larger populations in our viewing area. So we're just keeping an eye on it with that tornado watch in place until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Let's try and zoom in really quickly down here closer to the South Hill area. And again, this is a storm that was moving closer to Warrenton, North Carolina, and that cell has really held together here pretty well. Moving now over the state line, we're starting to see that heavier rainfall, and again, those lightning strikes there indicated by those silver dots. So this is going to be a noisy storm as it moves northward, really sort of along the Mecklenburg, Brunswick County line here. And again, moving at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Wanting to seek your safe spot if you do live in this area, that tornado warned area. And also if you know folks, maybe your grandparents, your parents are out in that area, maybe give them a call just to make sure that they know that that tornado warning has been issued and that they should be seeking their safe place. Looking at that velocity now, you can see that red is moving away from the radar site, that green towards. So we are seeing sort of a tighter couplet now, continuing to indicate some of that rotation higher up in the atmosphere. It doesn't mean that that rotation or that funnel cloud tornado is making it to the ground, but higher up in the atmosphere, we're seeing that rotation that could indicate the potential of a tornado and the reason for the issuance of this tornado warning that we're keeping an eye on now. So again, this is a tornado warning that runs for about another 15-16 minutes here. So we'll give it another 15 minutes that we'll stay here with you on air, keeping an eye on this tornado warning for you. And just a reminder, we have that tornado watch in place until 3 p.m. So even though this is just a small portion of our viewing area, this should be a reminder for everyone to kind of pick out that safe spot. Remind yourself of a safe spot, maybe even practice getting there as we do continue this tornado watch for another 3 hours into the afternoon. Other areas not under this tornado warned storm are seeing some spotty showers. Up into Farmville, seeing some light to moderate rainfall. Louisa, some spotty shower activity, and then closer to Williamsburg, some heavier downpours are passing through. But our main focus at the time is this tornado warning that was issued about maybe 15 minutes ago now, and continuing for another 15 minutes. Andrew, I'll toss it over to you with a update. Do you have an update? Yeah,
there's nothing really new other than it still looks like it's rotating really well. We would expect these not to hold on for a super long amount of time, but this one it's still holding together. And again, if you're watching us, the vast majority of you are not under a tornado warning. I mean, we just have one little sliver, the far southern and most rural portion of our viewing area, way down here in Brunswick County, that you're under that tornado warning. But this is a signal as to what we think this line from Charlottesville down into North Carolina has the potential to do. Now, I do want to note here, if you look down in North Carolina, there's a little bit of sun fighting its way through the cloud cover, destabilizing the atmosphere and helping these form. We have been straight up cloudy basically everywhere else. And so hopefully that lack of sunshine can sort of tamp down the activity and the ability of this line to rotate as it continues to lift off into Brunswick County. But that cell's got some energy with it. It has thunder, it has lightning, but that's the main line. There's not a whole lot back behind it that looks super troubling, but this line does look like it's concerning to us, and wow, it is really clear. It is relatively rare for us to see this. Now, this is not very close to the radar, so this could be elevated. It could be off the ground, and we haven't, and again, a reminder, this is a rural portion of North Carolina and then up into Virginia. This is, again, Brunswick County, but we haven't had any reports that of a touchdown. And so there's no guarantee that these things that are going to spin, they could stay as funnel clouds up in the air. There's no guarantee that they will be touching down. But when you look at the, I'm going to go to the on-screen buttons here really quickly and switch over to what we call storm relative velocity, and we can really clearly see the change in wind direction with this area here. Now that's a pretty legit number. We haven't seen that number. Gate-to-gate shear is telling you how fast one side of the tornado or the cloud is moving versus the other. And there's a 73 mile an hour difference in speed going to and from the radar. And so that's a pretty well organized little couplet, little potential tornado, or an area of a rotation that's off the ground. And so we're going to zoom in here really closely. I want to look real quick to see where that is. So you can see this is starting to move now up through that tornado warning. And so we're going to focus here on sort of the central and northern portion of that warning and take a look at some of the streets, I think. We'll activate the streets here and see who are the folks that need to be really taking caution. I'm going to zoom in. So we'll get a really close look here at basically the northern portion of this and some more roads here as we pull in closer. And I'm just going to tag on here. I'm going to add on roads. And if you're in one of these roads, or if you know somebody that's on one of these roads, I've never, in my years at NBC12, never clicked on and seen Dr. Purdy Road, but Dr. Purdy Road, Alvis Road, these are all small neighborhoods. Some of these may be family roads or just a few houses on it. Whippoorwill Trail. These are areas that right now, if you right now are not in your safe spot and you're in some of these roads, you need to be taking shelter. Hard to see that one, but that's Whitewood Drive. All of these communities, all of these roads that we're talking about, they're not all going to pop on here, but all of these are areas that need to be taking sort of immediate shelter. That's Huckstep Road. Hopefully, if you're in Brunswick County, this is giving you an idea as to where we think this storm is. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and to take a wider view, it's for those of you that are in the southernmost portion and westernmost portion of Brunswick County. Lawrenceville, which is the center of Brunswick County, or the county seat, I'm pretty sure it's the county seat of Brunswick County. Lawrenceville is not in this warning, but it would be potentially next if this holds together. And this is a really clear sign. I mean, a really clear couplet. That is just an amazing looking couplet, which leads me to believe that it's going to hold together for a bit. Now, the hope would be, as we talked about, that it's been pretty cloudy up to the north of this line, and that maybe that would allow things to sort of slow down a little bit. But for now, we've got to be very careful and take this one very seriously. I just looked at something that's called correlation coefficient that would see if we can see any debris being lifted up. I don't think we see that. And we do see, as we look at the lightning, there's a bunch of lightning here. So those of you out in Lawrenceville, you're probably hearing it now. And the lightning and thunder starting to work its way up toward Route 58 in the southern and western portion of Brunswick County. So it's those are the folks that need to be taking shelter, immediately. This is let me zoom out just a little bit more. This is something, sometimes we have tornado warnings and we go, don't quite see it, or it looks like it's weakening. This one looks quite strong and the rotation is quite clear. Let me take a little bit wider view here so you can get an idea as to where this is. But in Sussex County is where the radar site is. This is only a couple counties away. I think the radar is getting a pretty good view of this here. But that one cell is what we're going to watch for the next about 10 minutes or so. And it's this line that from Fluvanna to Cumberland, Amelia, Nottoway, Lunenburg, and northern Brunswick is just plain old rain. And that drives home a point that we talked about when it comes to clouds. It got warmer in the southernmost portion of Virginia. There's a little warm front, it looks like, that's down there that's trying to lift up, and that may help things rotate. So it's that one tornado warning in southern Brunswick County. We want you to take be very cautious about. There's rain in other spots. Williamsburg's got rain. We've got rain up into Caroline County. I'm going to clear these buttons out of the way, but we don't have, other than this one for the next 10 minutes in Brunswick County, we don't have any other signs of rotating thunderstorms or tornadic thunderstorms or anything like that. Now, you have to keep in mind here, we have a tropical system weakening, a lot of wind shear with height, plus a whole lot of humidity. And that's something we actually haven't talked about, how warm it is out there right now and how high the dew point temperature is. You know, you have temperatures in the low 70s. Emporia is at 77, so that's along a warm front that we think is in southern Virginia. And with the dew point, an air temperature at 77, the dew point temperature also, which we looked at, which is a measure of humidity in the air, is down. It's in the low 70s. It's up in Richmond to 71. So if you go outside right now, it is just absolutely, it's borderline tropical. Yeah, we have a tropical air mass sitting on top of us. So you have a dew point temperature in the low 70s down here. You have thunder, there's lightning. And for folks in Brunswick County, we want you to really do your very best to make sure, as we take a look at where this warning is, to make sure that if you're in southwestern Brunswick County, you find your safe space and you stay there. Hopefully you can turn the television up and listen to us in there, or you can use the NBC12 weather app. If you don't have the NBC12 weather app, you can put it on your phone and you can stream our broadcast live. But this is a tornado warning that looks every bit of an actual tornado. That said, it might not be on the ground. It might be off the ground, but that is, and we're going to zoom in again, but that is very clearly rotating. A lot of times we have a hard time kind of picking out the rotation, but we can see that there very well. There are two different things that we look at. Storm relative velocity, where we can see this here, and I wonder if it's, I don't think it's weakened very much. I think we probably will still see some pretty impressive, gate-to-gate shear here at 69 or 70 miles an hour. That's a legit funnel cloud here in the southernmost portion of Brunswick County. Powellton, I don't think Powellton is actually in. Yeah, Powellton is not in that warning, which again expires in about 8 minutes. But there's some really heavy rain in there. There's lightning and there's that potential rotating thunderstorm. Rachel, give me the moment. I see on the graphic that you're working on that Rachel's pulling up the rain rate. Yeah, it's pouring down there. Yeah. Do you want to hop on here, or you want me to keep rolling, or up to you?
I think I want you to keep going.
Okay, we'll keep on going here. So this is, that's the graphic that she was looking at, and I have a way to watch what Rachel's working at behind the scenes here, and that's a really good idea to pull this up here, because that is, we call this rain rate graphic. We tell the computer to take out all of the rain that's not super heavy, and then we can query actually how many inches per hour. That's got to be 2 or 3 inches of rain per hour here. That's just 3.23 inches of rain per hour. So that was a pouring batch of rain. And the heaviest rain looks actually to be out to the north, which is not surprising, out ahead of where that potential rotation is. So let's take a look at the velocity one more time. So it's raining heavily to the north of that. And let me move this now that we have that super. And I should mention here that the tornado warning, which goes until 12:15, I think there's a greater than 50-50 chance that this gets actually continued as it lifts to the north. Now, the one hope that you have is how cloudy it has been so far, and I'll go back a couple graphics here. I mean, we have had total cloud cover almost all day long in and around the Richmond metro area. And again, there's that tornado warning. So the hope is that that runs into some air that's a little bit more stable, and then it falls off the map. But that's the one game in town. So I'll take a wide view here, and we'll go to the radar picture. And that is the only one. Oh, I just hit it here behind the banner. But as you can see, the tornado warning for Brunswick County, it actually includes a little sliver of Mecklenburg County. I know we have it on the screen in Brunswick County, but to our graphics team, there's no need to change it. Oh, actually, it no longer includes. Did they just issue a new one? Rachel, I think they may have updated it, because it for a while had on there, no, it's still 12:15. For a while, they had a little sliver of Mecklenburg County. I think what they just basically did was cut it back. Let's zoom in real quick. And by the way, I should mention that the First Alert Weather Team, like, we anticipated this. We actually on Monday tagged today as a First Alert Weather Day. We thought this would be a day that we had the potential for some pretty nasty weather, and we're staffed up and ready to go. Megan is actually going to be in soon here, coming in early, and we're just kind of, I think, going to be tracking this one line as it works its way through Central Virginia. The question is, how long will that hold together? And that very clearly right now is a rotating funnel cloud at the very least. So again, this is west of 46, south of 58 in Brunswick County. Visible satellite map, basically completely Cloudy, save for some sun that just worked its way through Clarksville. So what do you do if you have a tornado warning? And those of you in Brunswick County on the weather app, or you're hearing us talk about it, south of 58, west of 46, there's either a tornado above you that hasn't touched down, we call it a funnel cloud, or it's on the ground. And so we want you to think very seriously about where you should be going. You should be in your safe space if you're under that tornado warning. Now, the rest of us under a tornado watch, we're continuing our day. We're being alert, but we don't have to go into our safe space. I think that people are quite safe in a lot of places. This is one little portion of Central Virginia wants you to go into that safe space. You don't go look through the windows, because the thing that in these tornadoes, which tend to be on the weaker side and relatively short-lived, although this one's been around for a while, they tend to be the kind of storms that produce damage with debris coming through windows, or even windows smashing and causing, people getting cut from glass. So you want to stay away from the outdoor, the exterior walls as much as you can. If you can make it into a low-lying area like a basement or even a cellar, that is the way to go. Back in the Richmond metro, we are looking fine. It's cloudy and we've got some rain. And again, that first alert weather day today, just to give you a quick look ahead, if you're trying to plan for tomorrow, low 70s. It'll be a beautiful day tomorrow, a little bit warmer than normal with a rain chance only 20%. We think there might be a quick shower that pops up, late in the day or toward the evening. And then as humid and as warm as it is now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it is going to be feeling like winter, as we're going to have to get our winter coats out into next week, and that really basically starts on Sunday. So the forecast for the next little bit here does include, for those of you down here in south and west of Lawrenceville in Brunswick County, you're under a tornado warning as we speak. I wonder if it's a little bit less. There's the storm relative mean velocity. Let's take a quick look at the velocity map. A little bit less intense when you look at the radar picture. Rachel, thoughts on that?
Starting to shrink it back, so moving up closer to, I think that's maybe moving up closer to 58 there. Yeah.
So you mean they shrunk back the bottom?
They shrunk back to the bottom.
So we still have the same time. Yeah. So
and I have that cone pulled up. Sorry, 12:18.
Okay, you want to switch over here?
12:18 in the afternoon, making it to Diamond Grove. So even if they don't continue this tornado warning, you're going to see pretty intense rainfall rates. It's going to be pouring for the next 15 to maybe even 20 minutes here. Again, making that rotation a little bit potentially closer to Merchant over the next couple of minutes here. Diamond Grove over the next couple of minutes. Grandy arriving at 12:31. I believe we're still in Brunswick County there, and then to Alberta in Brunswick County at 12:40. So this isn't moving too fast. It's moving slow, which isn't good news of that heavy rainfall that's now making it over to Route 1 and I-85 closer to Alberta now. So anywhere you're driving, you'll need those windshield wipers on. You may have to pull over with limited visibility due to that heavy rain. And this is just one area where we're tracking some of those heavier showers. Everywhere else, we're seeing some scattered downpours and some lighter rain now moving through the Richmond metro. So some light rain up towards Farmville, Charlottesville, Louisa seeing some light rain still, and then over into the Middle Peninsula, running into an area of heavier downpours. And now the National Weather Service is discussing, and they just extended this tornado warning. So let's zoom back in, see if I can get you closer. It looks like it's still in Brunswick County and just Brunswick County, right, Andrew?
Yeah. It's all within Brunswick County right now.
All right, I don't have my thing in play mode, so I can't zoom you in. We can move on over and let Andrew come back. Better chance at moving those on-air buttons there.
Yeah, so now we have a large chunk of Brunswick County that is under a tornado warning now. In the southern portion of the county, we're not too worried about this. Again, the overall tornado watch goes until 3, and we're just basically tracking this one cell, that is very, very clearly rotating, and it's this line that we're concerned about. So now a large chunk of Brunswick County. Of note, the tornado warning now includes basically all of Interstate 85 in Brunswick County. So to set the stage here, and let me actually switch over to another graphic that'll show you the actual warning, is this one right here. There's the cell. So we think that this storm system is now pulling away from the southernmost portion of Brunswick County. It'll cross over Route 58. Now, you probably already had a whole bunch of heavy rain that Rachel told you about, some thunder and some lightning. This is on the back edge of that storm cell. And so along Route 58, this is going to be crossing 58, we think, just to the west of Lawrenceville. and this storm system is going to be lifting off to the north and then potentially going up to Alberta. Is that one, did they pick up the forward speed on that? Are they going 30 plus miles an hour now? on that one. Rachel, check the. Oh, Rachel's on the phone right now. But this storm cell is lifting to the north. Let me just take a quick look by turning the query buttons on here. But this is a storm system. I think it's probably got a little faster forward speed on it, as they have it going until 12:45. But this is lifting off to the north. But now we have a lot more of a population center that's involved in this potential tornado. And again, I don't think that we have any note of this actually touching down as of yet. And it does look to us like it's a little bit weaker on the weather maps in terms of its rotation compared to what we saw about 10 minutes or so ago. That said, let's switch over to the storm relative mean velocity, and work this up here. And so we see still some rotation, but we'll do the query. And if you were with us for past 15, 20 minutes, this cell, when it was down in southern Brunswick County, I guess it still is, it's about to go over Route 58, that cell has the potential here, or the gate-to-gate shear. I don't think we're going to see the same numbers. We saw numbers like 70 miles gate-to-gate shear, and I've got some hope that as this works its way up toward Route 58 and points north of it, that we're going to run into areas that have been totally cloudy, just completely clouded over all day long, like it wasn't down in North Carolina. And so that hopefully this area here, which includes Lawrenceville, which includes Alberta, doesn't take the brunt of an actual tornado. But for those of you that are watching right now in Lawrenceville, let me get these buttons out of the way. If you're watching in Lawrenceville, we want you to actually immediately take shelter along Route 58, along 46, along Interstate 85. I would not right now leave South Hill and take 85 and drive up toward Brunswick County, or up toward the Tri-Cities, if you think of it as that. And I wouldn't if I was in Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie is up here. Let me switch over real quick, put these buttons on. Dinwiddie is to the north of this. So if you are in Dinwiddie and you're thinking of leaving Dinwiddie, taking 40 to 85 or Route 1 and going south into Brunswick County, that is a no-go situation here because there is a potential tornadic thunderstorm in Brunswick. If your travel plans take you there, I think you got to wait. You got to sit this one out safely, hopefully up in Dinwiddie, and hopefully this storm system doesn't hold together. Hopefully that cell doesn't hold together. But that's Dinwiddie. We go 85 down into Brunswick, and I'll switch over to the map here. We'll talk about the folks that need to be, we think, taking shelter right now. And so I'll take a look at some of the streets that are involved here. And the ones that we have on the map now are big ones. This is 58. And I think that this cell is going to the north of 58. Let's switch over real quick to the velocity, and you'll see it. That's the cell right there. It looks like it's going to the north of 58, the storm relative mean velocity. And I think, Rachel, you've been looking behind the scenes. This looks less impressive.
Yes, and like you mentioned before, no confirmation of a tornado on the ground
So still,
as of yet.
yeah, so these are what's called radar indicated. And these radar indicated tornadoes. And I have a little hope, and I have some knowledge behind the fact that this system could weaken as it continues to lift to the north. We've seen, I think, a little bit of weakening already. Because it's been so cloudy. Now it is really humid and it's really warm, but let's take a quick look at the what we call the shear. Gate-to-gate shear in here is not as impressive as it was earlier. If I hit these buttons and I see numbers like 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, you know, that has you a little bit more concerned, but we're not seeing those same big numbers. But we do want you to make sure that you really pay attention, not even pay attention, but Lawrenceville and points north. So let's zoom in now to the central and northern portion of that warning, and we'll take a look at some of the roads that would be in the way. Let me pan this up so I can get these streets located for you. There are a lot of streets in here, more than in southwestern portions of the Tobacco Heritage Trail. I think that's actually a trail versus a road, but Virginia Street. If you head on 46 north and west of, this is Lawrenceville right here, that's a street. If you're there, you want to take shelter. If you're on Poorhouse Road, which is north of and Brightleaf Road. If you're curious, there's a lot of tobacco heritage down here, one of the country's, you know, tobacco areas. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing those numbers, or seeing those street names in that way. But Iron Bridge Road, these are all roads that are in and around Lawrenceville, to put a broad stroke on it. And so in that area, again, there's Lawrenceville, there's 58, there's a little bypass, and then you can take 58 Business into Lawrenceville and Route 46 South. These are all in the tornado warning area. The velocity map here, there's the storm relative mean velocity. I think we're looking a little bit better And now this goes until 12. Is it until 12:45?
12:45.
Yeah, it goes until 12:45. I've got some hope. There's a chance that this actually will be dropped before that. But that said, if you're in Brunswick, you need to take shelter now. Rachel's going to help you plan by taking a wider view of what's going on. Rachel.
Yeah, we're seeing some showers throughout the area scattered. Of course, seeing the heaviest of that rainfall through Brunswick County, where we're seeing that thunderstorm. Really the only area that's reporting and getting that lightning return from the radar now is east of Mecklenburg County and working its way. I believe that's closer to Brunswick County, where we have that tornado warned storm that did move out of North Carolina, north of Raleigh earlier, where we saw a little bit more sunshine. So it was able to develop and mature and lead to this risk of some severe weather. And of course, the risk of some rotation and that tornado threat as well. I'd like to mention that we have not seen reports of this tornado making it to the ground. So that funnel cloud that we typically see, maybe some pictures of that cloud deck starting to look like it's coning down towards the ground. We haven't seen that hit the ground yet. So we haven't had a report of that. That's good news. But as always, just be on the cautious side of things, and you're going to want to take shelter and be in that safe spot. So zooming you in a little bit closer to Brunswick County now, and that tornado warned storm. This is moving north at 35 miles per hour now. So it is picking up in pace just a bit. And I'll go ahead and try to put a cone on this so we can get you some areas where it is headed as we head through the next 30 minutes or so until this is set to expire. So it's moving northeast at about 35. So making it to Cool Spring at about 12:36 this afternoon, making it to Cress at 12:37. So this is moving just a clip or two faster, and then making it to Rawlings in Brunswick County as well at 12:50. So we're continuing to watch this area of some heavy rain. And earlier we were pulling in rainfall rates anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain. So this is a downpour passing through, probably limiting some visibility out there on the roadways. Definitely, when you get caught in a downpour like this, safer to take things just a touch slower. And maybe I can get that query button to work, and we can pick out that area of some heavy rain. We'll see if that works. So precip rate right around 2 inches, 2.5 inches, possibly of that rain falling down. So again, puddles, pooling, ponding in the roadways will be an issue. You may see some brief low-lying poor drainage, flooding with this moving through. Just continuing to keep an eye on some heavy downpours passing through not only Brunswick County, where we have this tornado warned storm, but throughout the entirety of our area as well. So let's look at that tornado warning one more time. You can see off into Brunswick County and moving northeast. So starting to move into some areas of higher population. And here's that tornado watch for you that will show you not everyone is in the clear. And like I was mentioning earlier, the National Weather Service is actually discussing a better chance for some supercell tornadoes for southeastern Virginia. So we're definitely not in the clear, and this may not be the only tornado warned storm that we see through the next couple of hours. This runs until 3 o'clock this afternoon. And as always, we like to remind you where to take shelter when we're recommending you go to your safe spot. That's an interior hallway, an area without windows, away from doors, wanting to put yourself and the outside world between as many walls as possible to really protect yourself. And the best way to add a little bit of extra protection, staying away from those windows and doors, but of course wearing those blankets, helmets, and pillows, especially over your head, to be protected from any flying debris. Because even with this storm potentially not having a tornado touching down, a funnel cloud touching down, there could be some flying debris and some gusty, damaging winds associated with this as well. The best place that you can seek shelter is going to be that basement. And I think Andrew was mentioning his safe spot is in a hallway, right, Andrew?
Yeah, we've got a, I may have messed up your weather chat there,
No,
so
you're
check
good.
that out. Yeah, an interior hallway. We have a hall that kind of, there's some bedrooms off the hallway, and that's where we go. So it's not a traditional spot. A lot of times it's a bathroom or it's a closet, but this is, now 3 o'clock is the end of the tornado watch. This tornado warning that we've been watching. This is down in Brunswick. I know if you're watching right now, I should mention, So you look at this huge area. We cover a lot of areas in Central Virginia. There's a huge area, and there's one little line here that we're watching very closely. That has the potential. That's another 20 minutes or so, another 21 minutes until that expires. But that tornado warning in Brunswick is going to go right up 85 if that cell holds together and goes into Dinwiddie, and then in Dinwiddie it'd be the Tri-Cities next. But that is it. That is our only warned thunderstorm, warned potentially, excuse me, tornado. And it's all there by its lonesome. Now, that said, this is, and if you watched this early this morning, there was a reason why I was talking about 11 to 3 as the peak chance to actually get a tornado warning. And it's because of this line, and it's really clear that the northern portion of this line that's moving through right now does not have as much energy to tap into. And I think it's because it's been cloudy all day, and there also may be a little surface warm front down here that's helped these storms start to spin. But in Amelia, in Nottoway, in Powhatan, and Goochland, that rain is a no big deal situation. We want you to have your antenna up. We want you to use the NBC12 weather app. And of course, if you're watching us on TV, we will be on the air through the rest of the afternoon if there's an active tornado warning. But this one at 12:25 is where we are now, and there's another one behind it. So this one at 12:25 is active, and there's another one down in North Carolina. If that holds together, that would go back into Brunswick County as well, and maybe into southeastern portions of Greensville County. So let me take a quick look here. I'll query this one. This is another tornadic thunderstorm, or potentially, and that is a tornado warning. Now, that's not Halifax in Virginia. That's Halifax and Warren County on the other side of the state line, down in North Carolina. So really the highlighted area is down here, Brunswick, within Greensville County. You might go into, let me clear this off. You might go into a tornado warning next. That's if that one holds together and goes to the other side of the state line. So I'm going to zoom in real quick to that one cell that we're watching, which is now basically, I think, to the north of 58. And that one is just out to the west of Lawrenceville. And we were looking, and the National Weather Service continues to say that they have not had reports of it touching the ground. It's very hard a lot of times within rain for us in Virginia to see the tornadoes. You know, it's pretty rare to actually get a really good view of one. But on the western side of Lawrenceville here, north of 58. And so I think now if you are along Interstate 85 or Route 1 and 46, north of Lawrenceville, you need to be taking shelter basically right now, because that potential tornadic thunderstorm is basically right there on the northern and western side of Lawrenceville. So that storm rotation, let me go to the storm relative mean velocity, and that enables us to check the, actually, let's see if the wind shear is, yeah, the wind shear graph, what this is a tool. It tends to lag a little bit, but it does a good job of showing us where there's strong wind shear. Wind shear is wind going in different directions, either with height or, you know, horizontally. In this case, it's horizontally, and you can see that storm track. So if I were to actually, I'm going to move the map over. Now, I think, I'll zoom in a little bit. I think that the actual potential tornado is actually a little bit farther to the north of this, but this track is going really close to Lawrenceville. And so I'll move this over so I can just do a quick track on this for you. That's moving to the north at about 35 miles an hour. So if we take a cone and track this, I think it's north of 58 already, and we'll take this to the north at about 30 plus miles an hour, see if I can get it to hold together there. So you're talking Alberta, which is in the tornado warning, and Sturgeonville at 12:53 and Cress at 12:57. Those are the areas that need to be watching here. Again, this is moving its way to the north at about 35 miles an hour. So the communities in here, we'll take a look at the map, and I want to zoom in right in here. So if you're just to the north of Lawrenceville, so if you're in any of these communities on the map, Cool Spring, Poorhouse Road, that's Prestwood Road in Cochrane. Here's another street that we'll put some more streets on here so you get an idea as to the neighborhoods we're talking about. Well, Pitch Kettle Road, to turn my head to read some of these. Liberty Road. If you're in this warning, and hopefully your NBC12 weather app, if you don't have it, you can still download it now. It'll tell you if you are in that warning. But we'll zoom out, and this is an area that's getting more and more people, you know, living there as it gets closer and closer to Dinwiddie. But along Route 1 and along Route 85. And this is a tornado warning that's in effect until 12:45. We got another 15 minutes to go on this one. And I'll just look at the velocity data one more time. You can see there's a little couplet there. And there's two different ways we look at this. And also we should mention that okay, so the lightning has gotten less with this. There's one batch of lightning that looks like it's just off to the east of Alberta, one lightning strike out to the east of Alberta and north of Lawrenceville, but we've seen a whole lot less lightning over the past hour, hopefully a sign of weakening of the system. And that is the velocity graphic that lets me do the query. Hey, Rachel, are they saying is the Weather Service saying that it still has the same rotation? Are they showing any signs of weakening on this one?
They haven't updated their original post, but just keeping an eye on that tornado warning to the south and North Carolina.
Should we go back down there? Do you want to do that one, or do you want me to just go down there?
I can do it.
Okay.
Or make an attempt.
So let's look at, let's really quickly, just to show you what we're talking about. This is there's a tornado warning down here. Now it's pretty far down to the south, but that is the next one that potentially, and there's one for Roanoke I just saw. There's a tornado warning in Roanoke as well. So that warning down in North Carolina is another potential rotating cell that could make it up into Virginia.
Yeah, moving north as well at about 30 miles per hour, so not moving as quickly as the one that we have moving now through Brunswick County. We'll try and zoom out, pan this maybe so you could see that North Carolina system. And again, we've just seen this sort of line held together pretty well, producing lightning, so you're hearing thunder and seeing some heavy rainfall rates with this. And again, this area just closer to Warrenton, North Carolina, is moving north, so areas closer to Brunswick County again could see another tornado warned storm. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer to the areas that we're talking about now. Two tornado warned systems, pretty close, pretty back to back, but only one in Virginia for our viewing area now, central Virginia. You can see starting to see some lightning returns back into Mecklenburg County and then moving into Brunswick County, seeing some lightning there as well. So this is a noisy storm moving through. It's a wet storm moving through. Continuing to track that potential for some rotation. They still have not updated this with any on-the-ground reports, so there have been no sightings that have been reported to the National Weather Service yet of a funnel cloud or of a tornado on the ground, but always wanted to play things on the safe side. So maybe we could put a cone on this one that's still off to the north. And Andrew, I think it's moving north, not northeast, correct? This one in North Carolina.
I think north. It had a little bit of a northeasterly.
All right, so let's do that then.
Component to it.
And about 30 miles per hour, so just pulling in some areas that could, if this holds together, we could see another tornado warning issued again for parts of Brunswick County possible. So making it closer to the Virginia, North Carolina state line, crossing into our state by 1 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll have to keep a close eye on this. And if another tornado warning is issued, we'll give you the latest here on air and online. Looking at this area in Brunswick County where we continue to have that tornado warning in place for another 12-13 minutes. That's where we're wanting to seek shelter. And like Andrew mentioned, it's moving north now, so they're starting to chip away at the back end of this, but still seeing some showers back in that area as well. And this area is part of the tornado watch that most of central Virginia is also in. So zooming in closer to Alberta, Route 1, I want to say I-85, can't see the label there, but Route 1 area is seeing some heavy downpours, rainfall rates anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. So you're seeing a lot of potentially pooling, ponding in the roadways, so this isn't somewhere that you want to be driving over the next hour or so, with those heavy showers and storms still back to our south as well, and the system continuing to push north. So heavy rounds of rain at least, and maybe potentially some other tornado warnings issued as we head into the rest of our afternoon as well. Just taking a look at that velocity. Again, we're starting to see this weekend just a touch, not seeing that tight couplet that we were at the beginning of this hour with the original tornado warning, but this has held together pretty well. This line of showers and storms, light rain closer to Louisa, east of Farmville now, moving into Amelia County, some light rain, and then we're starting to see that heavier moisture sort of back closer to Brunswick County and the state line. Here's a look at that tornado watch that's in place for the Richmond Metro, Petersburg, Tri-Cities, and really everywhere throughout our viewing area here at home. Highlighted in red, that tornado watch does run until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So it's something we'll keep a close eye on. And I actually think I have the hour-by-hour forecast in here that will show you that we're not going to see too much of a lull in the rainfall and potentially thunderstorm activity until about maybe 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We could start to see a lull in some of that, but then we get that sunshine back in here. So we could see some convection, that thunderstorm activity pick back up, potentially maybe a rumble of thunder or two by 10 with that third line of showers and storms passing through the area. So we're not done with the rain quite yet, but of course the main focus here, the reason we're on air right now, is for this tornado warning. So let's zoom back in onto Brunswick County now. Show you where that tornado warning is. We have about another 10 minutes to run on this. Closer to Alberta, seeing some heavier showers and thunderstorms now. Starting to see a little bit more lightning start to pop back up. So just a noisy storm passing through the area. Again, this is moving northeast. So Dinwiddie County could start to pick up on some heavier showers as well. I-85 seeing some heavy rain throughout almost the entirety of Brunswick County back into Mecklenburg as well. Heavy showers passing through that tornado warned storm. Still no reports, Andrew, if I'm right, of any tornadoes touching down.
No,
right?
And they said, I guess what, 10 minutes ago or so, we were sort of hoping and thinking that maybe that would weaken a little bit.
Start to weaken, yeah.
But it's kind of tightening up. So we had some hope that maybe this would not be a tornado warning, and yet it's basically going right up I-85. And so if you're familiar with coming out of North Carolina North Carolina out of 85, it goes right up through Mecklenburg. And by the way, Mecklenburg, no tornado warnings. In the back edge of this here, it doesn't appear to be too concerning. It's really that line that you can see where those two tornado warnings are in a row from Brunswick County down into North Carolina. But it's that line that's going to be swinging through here. And in Goochland County, let me clear this out of there. In Goochland County, the concern is pretty low. It's just like a little batch of rain. And in Amelia, it's no big deal either. It's just kind of, just rain. Nottoway, same deal. But in Dinwiddie, if I was in western Dinwiddie, I would be paying extra close attention. I would be making sure, this isn't the kind of thing where you, sprint off somewhere to go pick somebody up to keep them safe. You want to keep them where they are in Dinwiddie. And of course, in Brunswick County, as that's where there's either or tornado on the ground, but I think we probably would have heard information about this as of now, or there is the potential. And when we say the potential, it's very clear. You could look at the radar picture here. Now that rotation is basically right on top of Interstate 85 in Alberta, or just to the north of Alberta in Brunswick County. And that is a tight circulation that's very clear and very easy to see. So go to the map here. And if you're in this tornado watch box, which probably is going to be extended here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If you're in this right now, I think Lawrenceville, it's past you. But along Interstate 85, Sturgeonville, Poorhouse Road, you're on Sturgeon Road or Great Oak Road. This is a take shelter situation. Now, Alberta, look at where Alberta is on the warning. You're on the far western side of this warning. And when you look at where the actual rotation is, it's not too far from you. Let me zoom out a little bit. It looks like the storm rotation is basically on the western side of this cone of concern over by Sturgeon Road. It's not as concerning, but that's a well-defined. They cut it back for us. Did they? I wonder. Can you check and see if they extended the time on that?
Negative.
So it's still slated to expire at 12:45. So that's 8 minutes from now, but it's still showing. And when they cut back the edge of it like that for us, that's to basically, it goes to for 12:45. It's basically to let the people on the southern side of it know that your concern level is lower. So if you are Lawrenceville and south and along 58 in southern Brunswick County, the concern of an immediate tornado is actually quite low. However, and we'll pull out a little bit wider, we have been watching another tornado warning that's down on the other side of the North Carolina state line. So we may have another tornadic thunderstorm that goes into Brunswick County and goes into Greensville. But right now, if you're in Richmond, if you're in the Tri-Cities, this is the time to be thinking about, okay, excuse me, is my plan ready? Do I know what to do if there is a tornado warning for my area? And just because we have this one does not mean there's going to be a whole bunch of tornado warnings for the rest of the day, but we think that there's a pretty decent chance in this area here, Richmond metro area to Williamsburg, including Petersburg, that we may have a few more of these that develop. I'll show you just the radar picture And you can see that's the line we're concerned about. That's from Dinwiddie down to Mecklenburg County. And there's some pretty clear rotation here. We'll hit on that storm relative mean velocity. I'm going to zoom in for you again. I think if you're in Brunswick County, in this area here, boy, it looks like there's a cell that's just right to the north, or right along Interstate 85 in central Brunswick County. So, you know, Route 1, northern Brunswick County. Let's go to the map again. These are areas, if you're in that warning, in particular in the northern portion of that warning, we want you to really, you know, be smart about this. Don't go out and look for it, you know, shelter in place. That's Chestnut Road. We'll look at some of the other streets on the map here that you should be, you know, taking shelter. We keep seeing Poorhouse Road showing up again. Excuse me, that Zero Road. Again, these are all areas that are on the northern portion of this warning, which is where we think the biggest concern is at the moment. And I want to do one more look here at the storm relative mean velocity. Yeah, it's basically right in the heart of Brunswick, just out to the east of Alberta, where there's that potential rotation. And that query, this allows us to look at the speed at which the storm is. Okay, that is the biggest number that we've seen. We haven't seen a gate-to-gate shear number that's been bigger than 83 miles an hour. And we've had this as a tornado. There it goes. And I was literally about to say, with that big number, it's going to be extended. So they just extended their tornado warning. Now it's up into Dinwiddie County. Let me take a quick look at the information on that one. And that one's probably till about 1:15 or so. Let's look at, yeah, so that's a tornado warning that goes until 1:15. Now we're talking about crossing over the river that is the border from Brunswick up into Dinwiddie, and the Meherrin River there is right in the middle of that tornado warning. So let me just clear this information off the map here. This is a tornado warned cell that we have not had reports of touchdown, but it continues to look very clearly on radar like it's an actual rotating thunderstorm. And I'm going to pan this down now, and this is, so right here is the northernmost portion of Brunswick County, and now as you see at the bottom of the screen, that tornado warning now includes a large chunk of Dinwiddie County. So Interstate 85, if you're driving from Petersburg, headed down south on 85, that's a wait and see scenario. Let's not do that, and if you know somebody who's traveling in this area, make sure they have a way to get warnings, but you should not be on the road here, basically on I-85, in between Alberta, which is in Brunswick County, and McKinney, which is up in Dinwiddie County. And let's take a look at some of the communities that are in here, that are in now this warning. I'm going to zoom in. That we can not necessarily disregard this one, but that's just a few more minutes left. And now it's that bigger one, or the one to the north, that we're going to be looking in. And the southernmost portion of it, the Brunswick portion, has less time to seek shelter along Interstate 85. And I have to zoom in, I guess, a little bit more to find some more of the communities here. And yeah, Sturgeonville is basically the crossroads that is most, I think, of most concern, because it's probably, you know, that's I think sort of the main you know, signpost in the area. And again, we'll look at the streets here. So Sturgeonville is right at the intersection of 1 and Sturgeon Road. And that is, so we have two overlapping lines here. One of them is the end of the previous tornado warning, and the other one is the beginning of the new one. And right in there is the concern as a basic, I think in Sturgeonville they're hearing it, or they're getting really heavy rain, and they're potentially getting damage as we speak. And by the way, speaking of getting damage, this graphic here, it's called CC, correlation coefficient. It allows us to look and see if there's any debris being lifted up. And I can't see any really good signs of debris being lifted up. Our hope is that this is you know, still elevated up in the clouds area of rotation, and not an area of rotation that has touched down. I'm going to go to the map here real quick, and we'll put a cone on this to help you plan. Again, basically north of Alberta, going to the north at about 35 miles an hour, heading up into the western portion of Dinwiddie County. If you're in Rawlings, that's an area that needs to be watching out for the next few minutes. 1253 Baskerville Mill. See if I can clear the buttons out of the way here. If you are in, that's not, I can't get the buttons to go away for me. But basically in Dinwiddie County, we want you to be ready for the potential that there is. You do? Where's the storm report from?
I'm going to call it Menchville. This is Newport News County, so.
Oh, so that's way down in southeastern Virginia.
Okay.
So I don't think that is for us, but let me clear this out of here. And we have, and I just saw Megan's in the weather office, so Megan's here and we're ready to go for the rest of the afternoon, but there's a tornado warning. This goes until 1:15, and this is a circulation that has been very clear on the maps. That storm report, the storm report, let me go out a little bit wider here. We can actually put the reports on the map, and so we can see if there have been any reports down here. I think the storm report, was that down toward Newport News? Yeah, so we haven't seen reports down where that, in Brunswick, in Dinwiddie County, where that's been so far. So again, let's go back to the radar picture and let's see what the warnings look like. It is that line there in Dinwiddie County. And now the whole view here, the big view, everybody's basically under a tornado watch until 3, meaning conditions are ripe for tornadoes. But this one that we're watching very closely, boy, can you see that one clear as day? Absolutely clear as day. You can see the rotation. It is right now along Interstate 85 in the northern portion of Brunswick County, north of Alberta. It's in between Alberta and McKinney. So this is Brunswick down here. This is Dinwiddie. That's the Meherrin River, which is the border in between the two, and that is going to be working its way to the north. And we'll track it for you. Let me move this down just a little bit. And again, very clear rotation. So that could mean a funnel cloud that's up in the air. But with data like this, if you are in the warning, and again, this is the map that shows you where the warning is, and McKinney's right in the middle of it. If you are in that warning, it's a seek shelter situation. So you do not want to be on 85 right now, southern Dinwiddie, northern Brunswick County. You just don't want to be doing it. The danger there is quite real, although we haven't seen reports of this touching down. It's there, and the potential is there, and the rotation is really clear. And this is not a surprise, right? The atmosphere is poised to produce these, to produce tornadoes, and you can very clearly see it right there. There's two different ways we can look at velocity, and both of them show a couplet, a funnel cloud that at the moment we hope and think is off the ground. So let me zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to track some more areas for you that we want you to make sure that you're taking care and finding your tornado safe space. So let's put a cone on this. Going to the north, maybe the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. Is it 35, Rachel? 30, so they tracked it at 30. So that's Rawlings at 1249, at 1252, Baskerville Mill and Baltimore Corner. You have it at 109, and I'll actually clear that off, and I'll do it, I think, with a squall line to maybe make it just a little bit of a wider track here. Again, taking this across the Meherrin River, and we'll check these areas again. Western Dinwiddie County, some of the same communities here, Baltimore Corner and Baskerville Mills. So I do want to highlight this, if you are on the eastern side, I'll look at the map here for you, the eastern side of Dinwiddie County, east of 85, the threat level is nowhere near as high as it is on the western side of Interstate 85. Now the forecast is this one doesn't go away till 1:15, is that right?
1:15.
Yeah, 1:15. We've got a ways to go here. And the southern portion of that warning, though, if you're on the southern portion of it, you're doing okay. But that is a slow-moving, rotating couplet, rotating thunderstorm that potentially has a tornado working its way into western portions of Dinwiddie County. Let's take a quick look at the map here. Excuse me, I want to look at the radar is what I meant to do, to show you how isolated this is. The rest of central Virginia is getting some rain. We're getting rain in Louisa County. We're getting it in Goochland and Powhatan. On the northern edge of that line is really a no big deal situation where there's thunder, lightning, downpours, and a potential tornado down there in Dinwiddie. And on the eastern side, it's some beneficial rain. And in and around the metro area, we just have a whole lot of cloud cover. As you can see, the clouds are basically, pretty thick, although the brightening that we're seeing down here in the southernmost portion of Virginia is one of the reasons why we're starting to form these taller thunderstorms. And speaking of taller, let's see how tall they are. Yeah, so that one is kind of looking like a supercell. And the colors that we're looking at now show us how tall the storm is. The taller the storm is, the more of a lift that it has, the more power that it has. And on the western side of Dinwiddie County, under that cell, we've got storm tops that are about 40,000 feet. So that is a strong thunderstorm, continues to rotate. Rachel and I have been tracking this one since before noon, about a little bit more than an hour, and it's still holding together. Rachel.
Yep, still holding together. And we have About another, I want to say 25 minutes to run on this tornado warning that we're keeping an eye on for Brunswick and Dinwiddie counties. Again, this is headed northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So anywhere out ahead of this tornado warning in Dinwiddie County may also want to start thinking about seeking shelter, seeking your safe spot, and getting into the most interior room in your home on the lowest floor possible. Basement, great option. Mobile homes, not where you want to be in a tornado warning. So as we head through the next 15-20 minutes, wanting to make sure that you're prepared and in your safe spot away from this severe weather danger. Again, this tornado warning is for Brunswick and Dinwiddie counties. It's moving north. We're also seeing some heavy rain and lightning associated with this. There was a second there where we did start to see this rotation start to weaken, but that convection, that severe weather potential has strengthened again. That couplet got a little bit tighter, so tighter rotation, quicker rotation, and that lightning also picking up. So heavy rain. This is a noisy, wet storm passing through. Plenty of lightning with this as well. So we'll take a look at just this warning alone. We get this to work. Just that warning that again runs until 1:15 this afternoon through McKinney and sort of following Interstate 85 northeast, running into some heavy showers. If you are planning on traveling, hold off on that, especially for this area under a tornado warning for the next, I would even say, hour or so, just to let this rain itself out. Hopefully, we are keeping an eye on a tornado warning that is back into North Carolina, closer to Littleton, North Carolina, and we've sort of seen this same trend, this same area over the past hour and a half continue to be issued and put under a tornado warning. So we're seeing this trend of these severe thunderstorms potentially capable of producing a tornado move out of North Carolina and into Brunswick County. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this one as it moves north. Bringing you back to Brunswick and Dinwiddie County, where we have this tornado warning in place for another 15 or so minutes. I'll show you that radar once again, that heavy rainfall that we're seeing. Some lighter rain closer to Alberta now, that heavier rainfall and that lightning just west of McKinney into Dinwiddie County. Seeing some heavier showers all the way back through the western side of Brunswick County. So a lot of this county is seeing heavy rainfall rates anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. It's pouring. You're seeing that heavy downpour, and you're seeing multiple rounds of heavy rain over the same spots pretty much since the before noon. So we've seen a lot of rain in just this area. Keeping an eye on that velocity as well. We'll zoom in on that potential rotation. We are still seeing a little indication there that we could see some rotation higher in the atmosphere. So that radar beam scans above ground level, right? So it's picking up on that rotation higher up in the sky, not so much closer to the ground, but we could see that rotation start to make it to the ground potentially for this tornado warned storm and areas under this tornado warning. So this, of course, is including Sturgeonville as well as Cress and Cress Road back towards Flat Rock Road now, as well as Zero Road, also seeing that potential for some rotation and heavy rain, that lightning also passing through as well. I think I have that velocity on a wider scale view, but then also keeping an eye on where we're seeing that lightning now. Everywhere else, if you are seeing rainfall, you're not seeing lightning and thunder associated with it. We're really just seeing that lightning close to that tornado warned thunderstorm. So back towards South Hill, running into some lightning now, north of I-85, seeing that lightning activity, and you could start to hear some lightning or see some lightning and hear some thunder into northwestern Dinwiddie County now. So starting to watch some heavier showers pick up. You're also keeping an eye on the potential for severe weather, holding on to that NBC12 weather app at home just in case we do have an extension of this current tornado warning or another tornado warning issued until this tornado watch expires. So everyone highlighted under this red color in that tornado watch until 3 o'clock this afternoon, and that's when we start to see that severe weather threat start to die down. Here are the areas that it's best to take and seek shelter, staying away from windows and doors, covering your head with blankets, helmets, or pillows. We love a helmet. That's a great way to protect your head from any potential flying debris. And of course, the basement is best. So these areas highlighted in green: an interior hallway away from windows and doors, an interior closet, a bathroom, great bet, maybe even in the bathtub is your safe spot, and so an interior stairwell as well. The basement is going to be the best place, and the mobile homes are not a place you want to be. If you're not seeing this rainfall right now, you're seeing that cloud cover. It's been cloudy since yesterday, and we're continuing to see that cloud layer continue to thicken up, but actually starting to pick up on a little bit of sunshine just into northern North Carolina, and that's where we're running into that sunshine acts as fuel to the atmosphere, and that's why we're starting to see some of these tornado warned storms. Zooming you back in to what we're seeing, I'm just going to click out of that potential rotation, clicking off that storm track now. We'll zoom in on that tornado warned storm. Again, this runs until 1:15, so we have another 20 minutes left on this. Where's my zoom? There's my zoom. This is for starting to shorten up actually that tornado warning, moving it further northward. Continuing to see most of that now into Dinwiddie County. Sorry, running into some issues with these on-screen buttons, but we'll make it work here. And we're seeing some showers. This main line of showers and thunderstorms now through Louisa. Just some light rain moving back to the west of Richmond, just running into some light rain as well. And then that lightning, and most of that lightning focused into southwestern Dinwiddie County. Let's go ahead and try this again, zooming in on this tornado warning. All right, so we'll show you again east of Blackstone, where we're seeing some of that heavier rain, and that those silver dots are indicative of some lightning, and we're seeing those rainfall rates at a high amount. So this is a noisy storm passing through. East of McKinney is where we're seeing that radar picking up on that heaviest of the rainfall and continuing to work its way northeast. So areas even outside of this cone wanting to seek shelter, or at least start thinking about it now as well. Andrew, do we have any updates from the National Weather Service, or are we just keeping an eye on it?
There's still, you know what, and we just went and looked at, if there were any power outages, and there are zero, you hasten to say zero, but yeah, in Brunswick and in Dinwiddie.
All right. Well, that would be good news, but still keeping an eye on this tornado warning. Even outside of this tornado warning, some of those severe weather threats today did include gusty, damaging winds. So we could see some gusty winds as we head through the next couple of hours as well, even outside of tornado warning. So definitely something that we're wanting to keep an eye on. And we'll give you the first alert to any severe weather danger heading into the rest of our afternoon as well. Again, that tornado watch runs for all of Central Virginia for another 3 hours, or until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Zooming you in closer to where we are seeing some of the heaviest of that rain under this tornado warning. It's not showing any roads, but State Road 40 running into some heavy rain, lightning now passing through as well. We have another 15-20 minutes left on this, so wanting to stay tight and hold tight in your safe spot if you can. And seeking that secure and stable shelter. So zooming you, let's see, should I zoom in a little bit more? Let's see if we can zoom in more. No, not letting me anymore. But still running into that noisy storm, heavy rain passing through, keeping an eye on that tornado warning also back into North Carolina, Andrew, that is moving north at about 30 miles per hour. So we could see the potential extension of that and moving in across the North Carolina-Virginia state line.
Yes, we may have another round of potentially tornadic thunderstorms coming out of North Carolina. And the first one kind of moved a little bit west of here, moved into Mecklenburg. But the overall view of a tornado watch has these two in a line. Now, we talked about this all morning. We were looking at the potential of getting a line moving through between 11 and 3. Well, we're right in the middle of 11 and 3 right now at about 1 o'clock. And it's that line right here. I know it doesn't look, in the absence of those red blotches, you'd think, okay, what's the big deal? And actually some hope now that this cell has pulled away from that tornado warning, and they haven't reissued it for Brunswick. I actually want to zoom in really quickly and take a quick look at that one first, as we potentially re-alert the folks in Brunswick County as to what's going on here. But you can see that cell is leaving. That's a little sliver there of Lake Gaston. That's leaving that tornado warning. And let's see how it looks in terms of rotation. So it doesn't look as impressive there. So some hope that maybe this one will not get a new warning, And that, again, this is down in North Carolina, so let's take a quick look at what the information is. That one is slated to expire at 1, and we're 1 minute and 20 seconds from that. And the way it looks on the radar picture does not show signs that that's going to be extended into Brunswick County. If that's the case, that would be great news. And then we can focus on a cell that's going farther and farther to the north and closer to places like the Tri-Cities, pulling away now very slowly from McKinney. And this warning that you can see here, and I'll just show you the map that has that on it, that's basically Dinwiddie County. And I know we have a warning active for some of you in Brunswick County, but when we look at the map here, the circulation is now over the river. That's the Meherrin River there. And so this is not, we don't think, any more of a concern in Brunswick County. If you're in Brunswick County, you can go out and sort of see what happened, as this is a cell now that is to the north of McKinney and slated to expire, that warning slated to expire in 15 minutes, but it still has a pretty decent sign on radar. Several different ways to look at this, and it still looks like it has the potential to be producing a tornado. Now, it has been going since 11:30-ish or so, around 11:40, maybe 11:45, when this first showed up, and it has yet to produce. Let me pan on this. This has yet to produce for us any actual reports of tornadic damage, and let alone power outages. But the areas in here that should be really thinking seriously about taking shelter, State Highway 651, Lou Jones Road, Scotts Road. Again, we are in Dinwiddie County. We're in the southern portion of Dinwiddie County. And look at some more streets here to help you plan for this. That's Depot Road, and that's Old White Oak Road. I'm going to move the map around a little bit more. All of these communities should be taking shelter. And by taking shelter, we mean in your tornado safe space. And hopefully you can still listen to us either on your mobile device. You can go to NBC12.com/live if you're using a tablet or a phone, or you can use the NBC12 weather app. But all of the areas that I'm giving you, Brills Road, all of these communities, Continental Road, Cantry Road, they're all in a tornado warning now in Dinwiddie County. And when you look at the storm relative mean velocity on here, well, that's a little bit of a change. Let me zoom out just a little bit and get our bearings on this. You can still see that rotation right there very clearly. And this is to go a little bit wider here. I'll zoom out 1 or 2 more times. This is south of 460. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous if I live in Dinwiddie County on 460, which runs through the northern portion of the county. As that cell has the potential to work its way and continue north, if it keeps going on that direction, let me pan down here. If it keeps going on that direction, that cell, I don't know if I hit pan or not here, but this cell is going to be working its way. Let me go back to the DMA. But that'll be heading toward Amelia County, eastern Amelia County, and maybe up into Chesterfield County, as that is basically the only game in town right now. We're after 1 o'clock. Let's go back down and see if that one. Okay, so this is a great sign here in southern Brunswick County. Now there's one tornado warning on the map, and there's one that we're tracking. In an overall line, these broken line right here is going to be swinging through, crossing over Interstate 95 and pushing east over basically the next 2 hours. And the Storm Prediction Center still has us under a tornado watch box. And we still have a tornado warning ongoing with a thunderstorm with a ton of lightning in it right now that's in Dinwiddie County. As you look at the lightning bolts here, I mean, there's a lot of lightning with this. And I'm going to put this into motion, see if I can take a quick look at what it's been doing over the past hour. And over the past hour, you can see where the lightning's been doing. This is Brunswick County. There's green, that's Dinwiddie. And that looks like it's going to be going sort of more west, staying away from Petersburg. I know a lot of folks that live in Dinwiddie think of themselves as kind of basically living in Petersburg or the suburbs of Petersburg. The Petersburg side of Dinwiddie looks to be a lot safer with this cell than the western side. And if you're on the western side of Petersburg, you know, there's a little bit of western side of Dinwiddie, there's a little sliver there of Amelia County. That would be heading in your direction next. This warning is slated to expire at 1:15. That's 12 hours from now. But the way it looks, it's going to hold on. I mean, there's no reason to drop that. I'll one more time take a look. This is a button that we call query, and it allows us to actually literally where I touch, it's telling me data. And the gate-to-gate shear at one point, I think, was up to 80 miles an hour. And these shear numbers are a whole lot, unless I'm missing it here, there's 34. They're a whole lot less impressive compared to what they were about a half hour. Okay, there's one. There's a sign of a gate-to-gate shear at 46. But we were talking, we had 70, 80 plus mile an hour shear.
Almost double that.
Yeah, so we're not saying that the storm is done and that they're not going to reissue the warning, because we think you need to be ready for that. Oh, they did reissue the warning, so there it goes.
All right,
you do need to be ready for that warning to be reissued, and there it is. Now we're talking, and we talked about this, I mentioned it a few minutes ago, that southern Chesterfield and eastern Amelia needed to be ready for the potential of a tornado warning. All right, so let's think about this. Let's say you have kids in school in Matoaca in southern Chesterfield County, and they may be texting you something like, Mom, Dad, I'm under a tornado warning. What do I do? The teachers and the staff at your kid's school know what's going on here. So in Matoaca, there's an elementary down here. This is basically Lake Chesden, by the way, the southern portion of Chesterfield County and northern Dinwiddie. And so down in that area, if you're anywhere near Lake Chesden, you need to be finding your safe space. You've got a little time in Lake Chesden because this warning probably doesn't expire for another half hour or 45 minutes. Let me take a look at this and see when it expires. This goes until 1:30. So you've got probably until about 1:20 or so, if you're near Lake Chesden, to be ready for the potential of a cell to come toward you. But it's those of you that are north and west of 85 and in the central portion of Dinwiddie County. And if I zoom in here, I remember myself saying maybe about 10 minutes ago that I was getting nervous about 460. Well, there's 460. 460 goes right through this new tornado warning. And so for those of you that are along 460, in Dinwiddie County, from about Baltimore Road, past Courthouse Road, almost over to Petersburg, not quite to Petersburg, we want you to take shelter. And this, you can see it there, that is Lake Chesden. Lake Chesden is basically the northern edge of this tornado warning. And there are a lot of folks that live up by Lake Chesden. And so Lake Chesden, a right now situation, you need to be taking shelter as you are in that tornado warning, which expires in 25 minutes. The storm relative mean velocity, that's what we call it. We want to see how the storm's spinning. Not showing anything close to Lake Chesden right now, but there's that cell right now. It's very clearly rotating. This is down near White Oak Road and Old White Oak Road. This is out to the north now of McKinney. McKinney is on the safe side of this, but on the northern side of McKinney, we've got some concern. Rachel, you ready to go here? Yeah, so Amelia and Chesterfield, some new counties in the warning.
All right, Amelia, Chesterfield, still parts of Dinwiddie County as well. Again, we just zoomed in on McKinney and we saw that rotation was now northwest of McKinney. This new issued tornado warning for parts of Amelia, Chesterfield, runs until 1:30. So you have about a half of an hour, and starting to think about those areas that may not even be seeing rain yet. Do start to think about the potential for some rotation and for some severe weather, flying debris, wanting to seek shelter and get away from that severe weather danger. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this area now with that tornado warning. West of Petersburg now, we're seeing that heavy rain passing east of Blackstone for the most part, running through western Dinwiddie County up into just the eastern part of Amelia County. It's a little sliver here, starting to see some heavier rain start to pick up, but under this tornado warning, just barely Amelia County and just barely Chesterfield as well. So Matoaca starting to think about seeking shelter, even if you're not seeing rain or hearing thunder quite yet. Wanting to seek shelter if this tornado warning does include you. See if I can zoom in a little bit further to some areas that aren't seeing that rainfall quite yet according to our radar, but wanting to seek shelter now. So closer to Browns Road in Dinwiddie County, wanting to seek shelter. Maybe I can even zoom in just a little bit more closer to the river. Parts of Amelia in Chesterfield County, Lake Forest Road close to the river, Chesden Landing Road wanting to seek shelter, Lakeland Road wanting to seek shelter as well, Sutherland Road. We have let's see if I can pan back to see a little bit more of these roads for areas. Maybe if you're recognizing these, wanting to make sure if you have any loved ones, friends in this area, call them, let them know if they don't know already that they are under a tornado warning. Exeter Mill Road, possibility of seeing some rotation in some of this severe weather. Horse Trail Road as well under this tornado warning. Let's go ahead and zoom back out, get a wider scale view of what we have going on. That radar scan did just update state. We're still seeing the heaviest of this rain in Dinwiddie County, still seeing a decent amount of lightning returns. So this is a strong thunderstorm passing through, gusty damaging winds possible, along with that rotation and potential for tornadic activity. Taking a look now at that velocity, that's how we kind of pick up on some rotation, and we are seeing a decent amount of rotation. That green going towards the radar site, that red away, indicative of that counterclockwise circulation. So indicative of the potential for some rotation above us, but then we could also see that make it to the ground in the form of a tornado. So wanting to seek shelter, that's the most important message we want to get out for areas under this tornado warning, including the eastern sliver of Amelia County, the southern sliver over into Matoaka of Chesterfield County, and then parts of Dinwiddie County out ahead of these showers and thunderstorms. Taking a look at the tornado watch in effect, you can see those lightning returns for where we have that tornado warning in place, even seeing some lightning now reported closer to Emporia and along 95 north and south. So starting to see some of this convection start to turn up, starting to see some of this severe potential turn up as well. We have this tornado watch in place for almost all of the Commonwealth, really, for these areas highlighted in red. And this tornado watch does run until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this area of tornado warnings that has really held together pretty well, weakening and then strengthening over and over again over the past hour or so. So you can see our radar picking up on some of that early rotation up above our heads. Go ahead and take that storm track off and zoom back in on that tornado warning. Let's go ahead and get that zoom button going. This is west of Petersburg. So zooming in where we're seeing those brighter colors, those reds, those yellows, indicative of some heavy downpours. I'm actually interested to see what the rainfall rates are now, if we can get that there. So we are seeing that rainfall rate somewhere around 2 to 3 inches. So this is heavy, heavy rain moving through the area. Even parts outside of the tornado warning seeing heavy rain. Amelia County picking up on those heavy downpours now, seeing a precip rate just over about 1.5 inches. So maybe starting to run, into some low-lying and poor drainage issues. Let's jump back to the radar now with a look at that tornado warning. You can see this is the one we were following earlier. It extended just to the northeast in front of that, and we're watching this potential rotation move northeast at about 35 miles per hour at times. Let's go see if I can put a track on this to show you where it is headed, even ahead of that tornado warned area. So let's pan this over, see if we can go ahead and put a cone on this real quick. And it'll highlight some areas that have the potential of not only seeing this heavy rain, but seeing this rotation as well. Let's put it at 30. It'll start to pick up on some locations if it can find any. So not finding any, but out ahead into southern Chesterfield County is where we're going to continue this tornado warning until 1:30. So you have about another 15-16 minutes to run and seek shelter. So keep an eye on that. Find your safe spot, lowest, most interior room in your home, away from windows and doors, putting as much space between you and the outside world, and the potential for some debris, damaging wind gusts, and the potential of a tornado. Megan, do you want to go ahead and hop on here?
Yes, absolutely. We'll do a live look here from Weather One, and we will take a wide look here at the radar. We've been really zoomed in close to where the actual tornado warning is taking place, but I do want to show you what else is going on in the area here. We have just some showers over towards the Middle Peninsula, up into the Northern Neck, rain up towards Goochland County and up into Hanover County. But it's south of I-64 right now where we've really been honed in on rotating thunderstorms. And this one in particular, we've been watching since before noon. Started in North Carolina, and it's continued to hold that rotation, and it's continuing to move at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll zoom in close to this warning that is going to continue to go until 1:30 this afternoon. It does include all of Dinwiddie County just about, and portions of southern Chesterfield County. and it's still holding on to some pretty good rotation here. So this is the area we've been watching closely here, and it's right along, crossing over 460 right now. A little bit of some lightning. We have heavy rain here, and it's tracking towards the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll zoom in just a little bit more to get some areas that need to get into their safe place right now. Again, this is 460. We're looking at Clay Street Road, Coleman's Lake Road, and this is entering the northern part of Dinwiddie County. We have Trinity Church Road, where we're seeing some of the first parts of the storm moving into this area. And I want to put on the velocity here. This shows us the area of rotation. So wherever we see, again, those greens and reds very close together, that's where we're most concerned of here. So in this area in particular, we're looking at, again, this is Dinwiddie County. If you're listening, if you've just tuned in, tornado warning until 1:30. That's another 15 minutes. But this is the northern part of Dinwiddie County. It's moving to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So if you're in any of these areas that I'm going to name off, streets, make sure that you're getting into the center, most portion of your home, away from windows. If you're maybe a home that has a basement, please make sure that you're getting into or going in that direction. We've got Hills Drive. We have a Baltimore Road, and then again, this is 460. So the rotation is going to be lifting towards the north and northeast right over 460, and that's going to be making its way closer to Trinity Church Road. Again, this is 460. White Oak Road. These are streets in northern Dinwiddie County. Got a couple more streets if you're familiar with Dinwiddie County here. Take a look at this road, Trinity Church Road again. We have Bear Creek Lane, if you're familiar with that, in northern Dinwiddie County. Please make sure you're heading to your safe place. Hatcher Drive, and as we cross over 460, we have Cox Road running parallel to 460. Again, as Cox Road looks like a little community here, very close to 460, seeing if I can get some streets. Looks like Cox Road right along 460. So the area of rotation here going to lift up over 460. We have not had confirmation that this storm has touched down or that we have one that is about to touch down. However, this is radar indicated rotation, so it could touch down at any point in time. So that's why we need to make sure we're heading into our safe place, being as prepared as possible. This continues to lift over 460, cross 460, and then make its way into southern Chesterfield County. So we'll go over 460, give you a little bit of lead time here if you're in Browns Road. Again, this is just to the north of 460, heading closer to the Dinwiddie County, southern Chesterfield County line here. We've got Horse Trail Road, Nanzeman Road, Sutherland Road. These are areas that need to make sure you're heading into your safe place because we have a tornado warned storm that is heading into your direction. So why we showed these greens and reds gives us an idea of where we're seeing rotation. Greens, winds are going towards the radar. Reds, the winds are going away from the radar. So that means that there's some rotation, and that could potentially produce a tornado. So this area in particular, we're seeing the tightest rotation from Cox Road, Trinity Church Road, Bear Creek Lane. Again, this is in portions of Dinwiddie County. It's moving to the north. So again, it's going to cross over 460, going to make its way towards Cox Road, Coleman's Lake Road, Browns Road, if you're familiar with that area in northern Dinwiddie County. Please make sure you're heading into your safe place. The storm itself moving at about 30 miles per hour. So we want to make sure we're taking this seriously. We have Nanzeman Road, and then not too far away over towards Midway Road. And then you can see we've got the river here heading on into southern Chesterfield County next. So if you're in southern Chesterfield County, make sure you're getting your plan in place, making sure you're taking maybe some pillows or blankets into your safe place, be it a closet, the centermost portion of your room, away from windows, and we'll continue to get you through this tornado warned storm. You can see we just got the latest update here. Radar beam just circled past, so that's giving us fresh data. Looks like we are looking at the broadest rotation right over 460. So if you're trying to do some travel plans here in Dinwiddie County, I would hold off right now. We're looking at that area of rotation just now making its way over Route 460. So this is Dinwiddie County, again, Cox Road. This area in particular is the rotation we're concerned of. Moving to the northeast, again at about 30 miles per hour. So that takes us towards Browns Road. Let's get some more streets in here. If you're watching from northern Dinwiddie County, you have friends or family maybe in northern Dinwiddie County, and they're very close to Route 460, maybe give them a call, shoot them a text. If maybe they're not tuned in, or maybe you don't have the NBC12 weather app to give them that notification. We have Courthouse Road. We're up close to Browns Road. See if we can get a few more streets here. Just to the north of 460. Trinity Church Road. And Andrew has a bit of information here.
Just watch the one to the south of there.
And we have another area. Andrew just pointed out just to the south of this area that we're watching. Let's zoom on out. Not a tornado warning storm just yet, but it is another area that is showing signs of rotation. So we'll zoom in just to give some preparation time to people in what looks like northern Brunswick County, heading close to McKinney into southern Dinwiddie County, almost the same area here. So it's riding just about the same path here. I want to zoom in here close. It's not a tornado warning storm yet, but there are strong signs here of some strong rotation. So it is something that if you're in this area, I do want you to get into your safe place just for a precaution here. This is very close to McKinney here. This is southern Dinwiddie County. This is Route 40. There's some signs here of some rotation. If this holds together, wouldn't be surprised if this turns into a tornado warning storm as well, showing signs of rotation. So if you're near Old White Oak Road, right around Route 40, just to the west of McKinney, just to the west of I-85, just head into your safe place. Head on indoors, get away from the windows, and we'll certainly keep you up to date with that particular cell. I do want to go back to the tornado warning storm though. We'll zoom on out here. Again, so we're watching two areas of rotation. We'll really widen out the picture, show you the warnings here. One warning right now in effect until 1:30. We'll zoom back into that particular area, put the radar back on, zoom back in. And it is this area that is warned and making its way into the northern part of Dinwiddie County, and then eventually going to make its way into southern Chesterfield County. So this is the area we're watching that is highlighted here. It looks like a portion of that warning has been trimmed back. So if you are anywhere south of White Oak Road right now, you're in the clear. But remember, we're still watching that area of rotation towards our south. If that holds together, it's basically going to run the same line here. So we're going to have to pay attention to these same areas, but it's this notch right here. Just to the north now, 460, we have Trinity Church Road, we have Browns Road. This is the area we're watching closely, and this is the northern part of Dinwiddie County. Put the velocity back on, not the drought. Obviously, we're abnormally dry. Give me 1 minute here to put my radar picture back on. There we go. So we'll zoom back into that tornado warning storm that goes until 1:30. So we've got 8 minutes. Would not be surprised to see this be extended into most of Chesterfield County. So we'll continue to watch this as it moves into the northern parts of Chesterfield County, and still showing some good signs of rotation here from Browns Road, between 460 and Browns Road. If you're in this area of northern Dinwiddie County, please make sure that you are in your safe place. We are approaching Nanzeman Road, and then eventually it is going to make its way into portions of southern Chesterfield County, and that will take it towards River Road here. That runs almost parallel here, not too far away from the Chesterfield County line. This is west of Matoaka. It looks like this cell is going to stay west of Matoaka, and it's going to just about make its way to the county line. You can see that little nudge here was the latest radar sweep, the latest information that we have. Still looking like some broad rotation as we go just after 460.
The south one is a special weather statement, not a tornado. The one south of there.
Okay, the one Andrew just pointed out that we're looking at that has some rotation, not a tornado warning storm, but it does have a special weather statement associated with it. So looking at some winds, Andrew, what was the wind speed on that? 40 miles per hour, 45 mile per hour winds here. So Old White Oak Road near McKinney, this particular area generating about 40 mile per hour winds. Still showing a little bit of some broad rotation. Not a severe thunderstorm warned storm though. You need to get winds upwards of 58 miles per hour for a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're below that threshold, still below the threshold for a tornado warning. We have, oh, well, there it is. We just got a tornado warning. So this does include McKinney now. This is just to the west of I-85. So this is a new tornado warned storm. This is now just about all of Dinwiddie County. So let's put a query on this. 2 o'clock. This is this particular 35 miles per hour.
Northeast.
This is all of Dinwiddie County now. So if you are watching from Dinwiddie County, please make sure that you are in your safe place. We have this brand new tornado warned storm, goes until 2 o'clock. It is now just getting its act together just to the south of McKinney here. We will put a tracker on this. Give you an idea. It's moving to the northeast here. We'll pan. So this is the second tornado warned storm. We're still looking at 2 tornado warnings. One out ahead of it right here, about to go into Chesterfield County. This is likely to get extended. We'll let you know when that happens. This new warning is below this rotation. This is a second rotation that is formed just to the west of McKinney. Goes until 2 o'clock. It's moving at about the same speed here to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll put a tracker on it. This is basically the same path that the first storm, tornado warned storm, that just went through. So this takes it towards Baltimore corner by about 137. So again, this is just parallel, just to the west of I-85. And we'll zoom in close to this second area of rotation, give you some streets. If you're just to the west of McKinney, State Highway 651, this is the area of rotation here. We're looking at Lou Jones Road. This looks like Depot Road. This storm's going to lift right over Depot Road. So if I'm naming any of these streets and you're familiar with these areas in Dinwiddie County, please make sure you're getting into your safe place. We have Depot Road, we have Lou Jones Road, and then it's going to continue to track closer to Scotts Road, and then eventually up towards Rocky Run. It looks like Glebe Road. This is all in central Dinwiddie County. We're watching for this second area of rotation that is moving basically in the same track as the first area we're watching, and Rachel has some more information for us.
We're just picking up on those heavy showers and of course gusty winds. You have a probability of seeing a chance for those gusty damaging winds, and also that rotation and potential for a tornado. So this all has been radar indicated. We have not seen reports confirmed on the ground, reports of any tornadoes touching down, but there is still that threat. For that reason, we have these 2 tornado warnings out. This first one that does extend into Chesterfield County, last I checked, runs until 1:30, so about 3 more minutes. But just to the south of that, we have another tornado warning. So everyone that's highlighted in these red boxes now needs to be seeking shelter. And we've watched the motion of this storm since before noon today, like before lunchtime. And we're continuing to see them move northeast and continuing to get warned. So if you're ahead of these tornado warnings, start thinking about seeking shelter. So this includes central Chesterfield County. Even if you're not seeing that rain or hearing that thunder now, wanting to start to remind yourself of where your safe place is. Let's go in and get a little closer of a look up. Let's zoom in on that first warned storm that is expected to expire here shortly. We'll go ahead and zoom in. Oh, and it just extended now, and this will probably run until 2 o'clock as well. So this has now been extended for most of central Chesterfield County. Let's go ahead and pan back up. Another extension continuing to move now just southwest of the Richmond metro for this warned storm. Let's zoom in on this area. Now this new tornado warning that was just extended. It'll show us Chesterfield, Cogbill Road, Bellwood under this new tornado warning as well, wanting to seek shelter. Chester, Beach Road as well, wanting to start to seek shelter. Zoom in even more. If you're starting to recognize these roads, it's getting a little bit too close for comfort to not be in your safe spot. So most interior room on the lowest floor of your home is going to be the best, most secure spot to stay away from any potential flying debris. Deerfield Estates, I mentioned Beach Road. We have Lake Dale Road as well. This is all in central Chesterfield County. Pocahontas State Road, and then we have Woodpecker Road as well underneath this tornado warning. Let's go ahead and get the latest information on this using our little query tool here. Getting some lightning returns now as well. It's picking up on the road names, but this tornado warning for Chesterfield County most likely runs until the top of the hour, so 2 o'clock. Let's go ahead and clear out and zoom back out because we don't just have one tornado warning issued, we have 2. River Road, starting to see some heavy rain and lightning now, continuing to keep an eye there. Zooming out a little bit more, looking back to the south into Dinwiddie County and just that very eastern sliver of Amelia County, also under this tornado warning that it has continued until 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's been the same spot and same sort of line of storms over and over again that has held together very, very well since crossing into Virginia, moving out of North Carolina. So Dinwiddie County still seeing that heavy rain, lightning, and this tornado warning in place. We'll zoom back in, get you some road names, recognizing those. If you've been under that tornado warning here for some time, you know it's time to seek shelter. Let's go ahead and just click on it over here. Pan to Dinwiddie County, taking a look at the latest radar updates, starting to see this continue to move northeast. Let's go ahead and zoom in. All right, so calling out some road names. Baltimore Corner, you all have been called out a couple of times this afternoon for being under multiple tornado warnings. Old White Oak Road, continuing to seek shelter. Watts Lane, Rocky Run, Scotts Road, Wilkinson Road as well under this tornado warning, and then parts of Glebe Road as well. Let's pan a little bit further north because that's where we continue to see the potential for some rotation. Baltimore Road, Zion Road as well. And then we have Trinity Church Road, Pearson Hardy Road under this tornado warning all through Dinwiddie County, and then starting to cross over into Amelia and Chesterfield. Ivy Mill Road now running into some heavy rain. Lake Cheston area, the campgrounds, the park, wanting to seek shelter. Not a good time while we have this tornado warning issued to be outside. You don't want to be caught outside in a storm like this, so stay indoors wherever you're watching us now. Chesden Lake Road, part of Chesden Lake Road under that tornado warning as well. Second Branch Road is what it looks like, and let's continue to move north as this storm follows this same path. Second Branch Road, Chesterfield, Bundle Road, Pocahontas State Road as well, Spring Run Road. If you know anyone in central Chesterfield County, make sure they know that they need to be in their safe spot because there is a tornado warning issued. East State Park Road as well, and then Deerfield Estates, going to start to see some rainfall over the next couple of minutes here, but even where we're not seeing rain within this tornado warning, wanting to seek shelter. Let's go ahead and look at our velocity now, get a hint at what's going on rotation wise. Click on storm relative velocity, and where you see those reds, those greens kind of coming together, that indicates rotation. So not seeing too tight of a couplet here, but still wanting to be on the safe side and seek shelter. We're still in Chesterfield County. Let's go back to Dinwiddie now, where we're continuing to watch those red, those greens together, green going towards the radar site and then red away, indicating that potential rotation. Let's zoom back out and get a look at these warnings. Let's take the radar off, so you can see exactly where these are. And this will run until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Let's zoom back out so you can get a wide scale look at sort of the path that these have been following and the potential extension of these tornado warnings. Still west of 295, but parts of 95 actually included in this. Petersburg not under the tornado warning. We're starting to see some light showers in that area, and then heading northeast towards the Richmond metro is where we're watching this warned storm head towards. Hopefully we run into a weakening trend over the next half hour and potentially not seeing the extension of this, but I would, if I lived anywhere outside of this tornado warning box, out north of it, I would start to think about getting into your safe spot, because everyone under that tornado watch until 3 o'clock this afternoon, all of these areas highlighted in red. We have another couple hours left for this tornado watch, about an hour and a half left for our peak severe thunderstorm possibility and peak severe tornado possibility as well. Even if we're not seeing that rotation touch the ground, we're seeing plenty of lightning. Hearing that thunder when thunder roars, head indoors. It's a loud, noisy system passing through, and really just that line that's moved out of North Carolina and across the Virginia state line into Dinwiddie County now, Chesterfield County now, and just that sliver of Amelia County as well. Starting to really see the system hold together pretty well over the last couple of hours. Let's see if we can go backwards and look at that radar one more time. So here are the two tornado warnings that we currently have that are issued and run until 2. So you have another 25 minutes on this. And if you are in the Richmond metro area, anywhere really around 295, do start thinking about seeking shelter. Lowest, most interior room in your home, typically a hallway or a basement to be the safest. Meg, I'm going to toss back over to you.
All right, if we could switch over to Weather One here and get a wide view of what we have going on. It has been this one line here. If you've been watching since early before noon, around 11:45, we were watching a couple of areas of rotation making their way out of North Carolina and making their way into our southern counties. And this is almost the same area of rotation we've been watching just before noon that has made its way through Brunswick County. If you tuned in through the noontime hour, this has held rotation as it's made its way through Dinwiddie County. So 2 tornado warnings right now, and they are approaching the city of Richmond. There's really nothing out ahead of us that's going to slow it down much. Conditions are favorable. That's why we have tornado watches in effect until 3, because the atmosphere is conducive to produce this rotation. So we will most likely see this extended beyond 2 o'clock this afternoon. Of course, we'll keep you updated as that continues. I'm just letting you know if you're anywhere in the Richmond metro, we need to make sure that you're thinking ahead once we get that expanded. We haven't really seen much in the way of any weakening, and with the latest tornado warned storm, this is just about all of Chesterfield County at this point. So if you live in Chesterfield County, I need you to get in your safe place. Here are some of the towns, neighborhoods that need to pay the closest attention and start making their way into their safe place. We have Chesterfield Courthouse by 145. If you're listening and you're maybe in the kitchen right now and you hear Chesterfield Courthouse and this is you, or you have some friends and family, this is right on your doorstep. We're about 7 minutes away from this area of rotation, moving closer to Chesterfield Courthouse. No confirmation that anything's on the ground, but we have signs of rotation that it could touch the ground really at any point during the duration of this warning. So let's please take this serious. Chester by 150, that'll be next in line here. So Chester in Chesterfield County, you have this area of rotation, tornado warned storm on your doorstep by 150. That gives you about 14 minutes to get things prepared, head to your safe place. We have Bellwood at 155, gives you a little less than 20 minutes. Any of these towns, you have some family, friends, there's not much going on right now. We've got quiet conditions in these towns leading up to this rotation. They might be working in the yard. Send them a text, tell them to tune in, get to their safe place. And we're also looking at Bensley at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So if you're in any of these areas that I've mentioned, please head into your safe place. If you have a basement, please head in that direction. If you do not, we know not to stand near windows. We know not to go outside during these times. Make sure you're going into your closet, the centermost portion of your home, be it a bathroom, any sort of kitchen closet you have inside your home, away from windows, is the best place to be during this time. 2 tornado warned storms here. I'll zoom in close to them and take a look at some street levels to help prepare as we make our way through Dinwiddie County and also just about all of Chesterfield County. And again, this is moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So these 2 areas of rotation that haven't weakened much over the past almost 2 hours have their sights right into downtown Richmond. So let's start here with the tornado warned storm in Dinwiddie County. This is now northern Dinwiddie County. You can see that tornado warned storm has just been trimmed back. Great news. So we're just watching this area in particular. I'll zoom in a little closer here so we can get our bearings. You can see a little bit of some lightning here in this area, very close to Browns Road. This is 460. Rachel was highlighting this. I was highlighting this not long ago. This is where the most dangerous part of this storm is. A little bit of some lightning. We've got some rotation here very close to Trinity Church Road. Right along Coleman Lake Road, you're seeing the heaviest rain out of this particular cell, and it's making its way across 460 to the northeast. So let's go out ahead of this storm. Prepare some of you that are in the path of this. We're looking at Cox Road again, Browns Road, and then again right along 460 here from Coleman's Lake Road along 460, and as you make your way towards Courthouse Road. That is the area that is most concerning, that you need to make sure you're using plenty of caution heading into your safe place, and that is going to continue to lift towards the northeast at 35 miles per hour, takes it towards Sutherland Road, crossing over the river here, and then it makes its way into Chesterfield County. That's the one area of rotation. We have 2. That's with the new warning that's moving into Chesterfield County. Let's zoom on out here and get our bearings straight. If you're just tuning in, we're now going to be tracking a tornado warned storm through Chesterfield County. So this is west of Matoaka. This is in the heart here of Chesterfield County. Just to the west here of Chester, we've got lightning. You may be hearing some thunder, seeing some heavy rain in your neighborhood. So let's zoom in close. This is Chesterfield County. This warning goes until 2 o'clock this afternoon. So another 20 minutes just for this warning. Would not be surprised if this is extended farther into the east end, closer to the city of Richmond. So we have Deerfields Estate here. We are looking at Beach Road. We have Lakedale Road. We have Highlands Glen Drive, Pocahontas State Park area. This is where we're seeing not only some lightning now, heavy rain, and signs of some rotation. So let's go back over to the velocity. There's a look at your couplet. This is the area of most concern. We've got greens very close to red. Whenever you have that, that shows us signs of rotation on the radar. So we'll wait for the next radar scan to give us our next batch of data. But if you're in this area in particular, there was our latest data sweep. We've got Nash Road, this particular spot right here though. Focusing in on Highland Glen Drive, we have Beach Road, Pocahontas State, and then this is going to travel towards the northeast here. So this is making a run up towards Deerfield Estates. We have 288 here. We have a lot of neighborhoods in Chesterfield County around this area. So please make sure you are heading into your safe place. No confirmation at this point that anything is on the ground, but we need to treat it as such. This area of rotation is nothing to mess with here. We've got Apple Crossway heading into the neighborhoods close to Deerfield's Estate. And then it's going to cross over 288 near Centralia, Old Warson Drive. We have Lakedale Drive. And all of these neighborhoods here, very close to Apple Cross Drive. We can zoom in even farther into some of these areas that need to make sure that they're getting into their safe place. So again, this is Chesterfield County. We are looking at Nash Road. We have Highland Glen Drive. You can see all of these neighborhoods. Put some of them on the map here. This is the path of the storm, Braystone Lane. any of these neighborhoods that you may be familiar with or next to perhaps. You've got heavy rain moving your way and a possible tornado heading your way. So Taylor Landing Way. We can hear the thunder in South Richmond right now ahead of this particular storm. We've got Whistling Swan Road. We have Shorecrest Lane. All of these lanes in the path of a rotating thunderstorm. This is Chesterfield County moving to the northeast. We'll zoom back out here. And Andrew's going to take it over with the latest information, but again, we're watching Chesterfield County very closely.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in Chesterfield, I mean, this is a no-joke situation. Now, there are a lot of places in Chesterfield where you're totally fine, but this is, there's two. There's not just one, and you heard Megan was tracking this. And the other thing is this is going right at the city. So now our note says now through 3 in the afternoon, and that's the tornado watch is slated to expire at 3. We wouldn't be surprised if they extended it. A couple things going on here with these 2 tornado warnings. Number one is if you look, I've got the visible satellite picture on, and there are places where we've gotten some sun. In particular, you can start to see where it's gray as opposed to white, and that's just energized the atmosphere, which I'm going to do one other thing here before we start retracking again. If you have not been outside, it feels every bit of a tropical weather day. It's in the mid-70s in a lot of spots, and check out the dew point temperatures. This is a measure of the humidity in the air. This is midsummer. This would be a humid day in the middle of summer. So you have high levels of humidity. You're pumping a little sun in. Our temperatures are warming into the mid-70s. There's a little bit of a warm front moving through as well. And you basically have the environment, and we talked about this basically all morning, and you heard us talk about it last night as well. You have the environment that we could get some of these tornadoes to spin up. Now, in this entire process, which started at about 11:30-ish this morning, we have not had any reports of touchdowns yet. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't happen, and we urge caution here, but there are 2 distinct tornado warnings here, one in Dinwiddie going into southern Chesterfield, right over Lake Chesdin, and one in Chesterfield that looks like it wants to make a run at the southern side of the city of Richmond. I'll put the map on here. These are both basically moving here to the north at about 35 miles an hour. So I'm going to draw a cone on, let me quickly identify where the center of rotation is. So clear to see the center of rotation right there in Chesterfield County. And I want to zoom in for you, because if you are in, this is 288 right here. So you're talking about, this is about to go over 288, where Route 10 goes into 288. The exit there, if you're anywhere near that, like if you hop on 288 and you get on Route 10 to get there, you have got to be taking your safe place right now. I know we haven't had reports yet of damage or touchdown, but if this touchdown, this is going to be a really bad situation. As far as we know, these haven't touched ground yet. In fact, I can use this thing called correlation coefficient to see if anything is touched down. We would see, debris signatures, which I don't see. But if this touches down, you are talking about a devastating situation as this continues to rotate. I'm going to look at the data on this. And just now we're hoping that this weakens before it heads to the city. We still have gate-to-gate shear at about 60 miles an hour. Yeah, signs that this is still rotating right around Beach Road. And the cross-section where we think it literally is right now is basically Beach and Nash Road. That actually is Nash Road Lake. It's kind of hidden in the neighborhood, but it's south of Beach Road. And so this is going to be working its way north. Pocahontas State Park is right in here. And this is going to be going to the eastern side of the state park. All right, let me just really quickly go again back to the map here, a little bit wider, and show you some of the areas that are included in this. So there's 288, very close to 288 right now. If you're 288 and if you're north of 288 in Chesterfield, all the way from the eastern side of Chesterfield, over by Bellwood and Interstate 95, all the way out to Newby's Bridge Road, you've got to be taking shelter. And as we go a little bit wider here, and a note here, Rachel just let me know earlier, Chesterfield County sent out a tweet, the public schools. Right, there are kids in schools right now, and they urge you not to hit the road and go pick the kids up. The bulk of these schools are, listen, I'll make a blanket statement. The educators and the folks in Chesterfield County Public Schools have safe places for kids in tornado warnings. And, I can't 100% vouch for it, but I would imagine they are in a very safe spot right now if they're in that tornado warning. So you can reach out to them, maybe via text, but this is not the time to hit the road and put yourself in danger by driving out to pick your kid up in Chesterfield County. And another note here, on the western side of the county, the concern level is quite low in the village of Midlothian out west. So we're talking James River High School, Midlothian High School, out toward Winterpock. right? If you head 360 down toward Amelia, you're not in a tornado warning. It is right in the central portion of Chesterfield County. And we had someone who sent us a note here and said, hey, can you track the storms for us and give us something just that, I think they cut back the edge of it. And they said, hey, can you give us a look at where this would go if it would go next? So I'm going to get a little bit wider here, and I'm going to put a cone on this. Let me quickly see first where it is again. Man, is that... So now if it doesn't touch down, there's going to be a funnel cloud that goes right over the city of Richmond. I mean, you can see it right there. And so the direction that this thing is going to go is to the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. And I'm going to pull this here. And that storm, goes right on top of the city. If it holds together, Richmond City at 2:06, if not a little bit sooner. Now, this is slated to expire. This one expires at 2. I think they both do. But it'll probably be extended. There's no sign that these are weakening or stopping their super tight rotation. So that's going to be working its way through, and I'll clear the information here. But that is going to be working its way through. Let me put a line on it. The track of that one basically goes right through the south and east side of the city, and then over toward Mechanicsville, basically, in Hanover County. That would be if this holds together. As there's one tornado warning there, and then there's another tornado warning, that one again in Chesterfield County, and there's another one in northern Dinwiddie County. Now, we typically would say, okay, if you are in, and I'll show you the map here. Let me zoom again. If you are in the southern portion of Chesterfield County, we would say, okay, it looks, I'll show you the radar picture. You can see where the rain is. It's this cell up here. We would say, okay, you're doing okay in the southern portion of this warning. But even though the storm has passed, there's another one trying to fill in behind it. So it's those same exact areas that we've been talking about from Lake Chesden up north through the Pocahontas State Park and crossing 288 and then coming now to the south side of the city of Richmond. That's what that line is right there, is the south side of the city. So these are the areas that need to be in your safe space. And this is a no-joke situation as the rotation appears to be now just to the east. I'll put the street on here. Just to the east of Route 10. And that's Route 10 and 288, to give you an idea. So that is basically, we think, where that is. Now, the next major marker here is Chippenham. So if you are somebody who lives in eastern Chesterfield County, put the map back on again. If you live south of the city, north of 288, east of Route 10, and to the west of 95, and there's Chippenham as well, you've got to be in your safe space literally right now. And we still have yet to see, I actually put on the storm reports, we've yet to see any reports of damage. I'll pull out wider to see. And if that happens, if we go through this process of having, there's a report down here, let's take a look at that. If we go through the process of having a very clear funnel cloud signature going from Brunswick to Dinwiddie to Chesterfield and potentially to the city without a touchdown, we will be very lucky. Because as we've been giving you first alert for a few days now, we had a severe weather threat, and we had that first alert weather day for today, excuse me, tagged on Monday. Let me take a quick look and see what the, yeah, so that's a tornado. Can we look at that one, Rachel and or Megan, and see if that, I bet in Brunswick that was probably someone who noted a funnel cloud. But we'll take a look at that one. But we're past now concerned in a big way about Brunswick County. So we're going to take a quick look at this. See, Brunswick is now clear. But now you're talking about, by the way, western Chesterfield, and again, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can get an idea what we're talking about. If you're watching us in Chesterfield, part of our job is to give you first alert to the areas that have concern. And there's that one potential tornado and another one. So the same areas, Lake Chesden basically, in northern Dinwiddie, southern Chesterfield, that had concern earlier, same deal. And another one now, this is getting ready to come over the south side of the city. That's the James River right through the city. And this is basically Chippenham, it's on the south side of the city. But if you are a Midlothian, if you are out here on the western side of the county, I think you can have a pretty high level of confidence, at least in the short term. There's the Swift Creek Reservoir. Good point by the map telling me. Swift Creek Reservoir is a really good marker, right? If you're near the Swift Creek Reservoir, Brander Mill, Wood Lake, out west of town, out toward Geneta Road, Mosley, 360 is extended, heading all the way down toward Amelia. those areas. The huge new development, which I'm drawing a blank on right now, I apologize, out on 360. Those areas you're fine out west of town. But we are looking on the eastern side here, Newby's Bridge Road, south side of the city, Bellwood in particular, and the velocity is still showing us a really clear sign. And we still, I mean, Megan and Rachel, we still haven't had anybody, or we haven't seen signs of a touchdown.
Nope.
This is crazy. This is like so clearly there. It is so clearly rotating. We can see it sometimes when we look at into the atmosphere. We peer into it with Doppler radar. You can't quite see that rotation. And I should mention, as you're hearing in the background here, I don't know if you can hear it over my microphone, but there's lightning as well. Now, where we are, as I'll zoom out, we are in basically we're in the city. Yeah, where all the thunder and lightning is. We're on the south side of the city, and although there's a lot of thunder and lightning coming into the city, the storm track, okay, so now we have that tornado warning, thanks Rachel, extended right through basically the city of Richmond and over to the eastern portion of Hanover County. And then I think that it would include Mechanicsville. That goes until when? Is it 12:30? I mean, 2:30. A little behind, is that 2:30? Yeah, and that's still moving to the northeast at 35 miles an hour. So there are 3 distinct tornado warnings for 2 warned cells. Basically, there's one that's about to come into the south side of the city, and that'll work its way to the eastern portion and then head up into Mechanicsville. And I'll put a track on that for you so you get an idea. So there's one now that's trying to move its way through the northern portion of Chesterfield and lift to the north at about 35 miles an hour. And this is Montrose at 2:04, Varina at basically 2 o'clock. That's a few minutes from now. And the city at 2:06. But I think if you are in the city, west side of the city, I think we're looking pretty good. Although there's going to be some rain and some thunder and some lightning. It already has been. I'll show you the radar picture. I mean, there's rain for basically everybody in the city. But it is the eastern side of the city of Richmond that is now under that tornado warning. And we're getting close to having that tornado warning on top of where we are. All right, Megan, you ready to go here? This is, I think they're going to drop that one in Dinwiddie, but there's 2 lined up, and now we're including the city of Richmond, Henrico, and eastern Hanover County in that tornado warning. Megan.
Yeah, I want to pull up our Skycam picture. This is the storm that is approaching the city of Richmond here. You can make out here through the water on our lens here. This is the approaching storm. This is the tornado warned storm that is making its way close to the city of Richmond right now. So this is a live look here. Kind of hard to see with all of the rain coming down, but rain shaft, where the rain's coming down harder, you can see is approaching a Manchester area close to the flood wall, crossing over the James River, and then it's going to be making its way into downtown Richmond. I do want to go back to the radar picture here. We have clear signs of rotation that is approaching Bensley right now. This is Chesterfield County. If you are watching from Bensley, I need you to get into your safe place. And then we'll call out some towns here as we get a little bit closer to the city of Richmond. There are a lot of people in these areas especially. So we want to make sure that you're taking this seriously. A new tornado warned storm that is making its way into the city of Richmond, especially over towards the east end as well. So let's zoom in close to this area. New tornado warned storm. Again, this is making its way through Bensley now, the Bensley neighborhood. We are looking at strong signs of rotation, and it's moving to the northeast here at about 35 miles per hour. This is the area we're watching closely, very close to Route 10, very close to I-95 here, approaching the city of Richmond, and then eventually making its way very close to Bensley. So I do want to go over some of these towns and make sure you're heading to your safe place. Remember that safe place. If you're someone lucky enough to have a home that has a basement, please make sure you're heading there now. I'm sure a lot of your phones may have just got a notification if you have the NBC12 weather app that we do have that tornado warning now. That does include the city of Richmond, includes most of the east end, and it does include a portion of Hanover County, very close to Mechanicsville. Mechanicsville, we're giving you a lot of leeway here, but these storms have not had any signs really of weakening. We have an atmosphere that's very conducive to keep these storms rotating, unfortunately. So with this latest tornado warning until 2:30, I'm going to go through some towns that are in the path of this. VCU is in the path of this. We have this arriving at about 2:10. You have about 10 minutes as it makes its way through the city of Richmond. Please make sure you're heading into your safe place, away from windows. If you're in an office building, a lot of windows there, head into a hallway where we're not looking at windows. We are not seeing any confirmation of anything touching the ground. I do think our station may have just took a hit from lightning. I think if you saw that from home, everything went black here for a second. We're up and running. But again, Bensley is where the worst part of the storm is. It's going to be making its way close to Highland Springs by 2:15. So if you're in Highland Springs in the east end, you have 15 minutes to head to your safe place. Get away from windows, take some pillows, head on over into a bathroom, centermost portion of your home. Or again, if you have a basement, that's even better. And then it's going to make its way into Mechanicsville at about 2:25. So Mechanicsville, you have about 25 minutes. But let's go back to the area we're watching very closely here. We'll zoom out, get our bearings here of where that latest warned storm is. Put the warning back up. There's a look. We have 3 warnings now. The latest one includes the city of Richmond, includes a portion of Chesterfield County, the northern part of Chesterfield County, and then the east end. Right now, Verina is not included in this. This is just to the west of you, making its way closer to Highland Springs and then eventually up towards Mechanicsville. So we'll zoom back in close to the area of rotation, which would be right around here. This is a heavily traveled road here. So if you can avoid heading out on the roads right now, please stay home. Please make sure you're in your safe place. This is very close to I-95 here, Bensley, Walmsley Boulevard. We have Route 10, Meadowdale Boulevard. This is the area we are most concerned with right now. That is traveling towards the northeast. So it's going to be making its way through Bensley, across Route 1, and then really almost running parallel for a short while, and then crossing over I-95 here. So Access Road. We're looking at Commerce Road. We have Hopkins Road, Walmsley Boulevard. We've got a lot of businesses, neighborhoods very close to this area. Again, Bensley. We're looking along Route 1, running parallel to I-95. This area is where we're seeing and have seen signs of very strong rotation. And this is the same storm we have been watching for at least about 2 hours now. They started in North Carolina. You've stepped outside today, it's warm, it's muggy, and the atmosphere is conducive to just keep that rotation going. And unfortunately, we have the same atmosphere just to the north of these areas. So nothing really slowing this down that can really help break this apart any. So I really need you to just make sure you take these seriously as we go through some of these towns and neighborhoods, as this area of rotation still holds together just to the north of Bensley right now. Walmsley Boulevard. We have Warwick Road. All right, we've got another area we're watching. So let's go back to our big screen here and go back to the radar. We have another tornado warning storm. So I do want to focus in on this one. This is Sussex County. This is a new tornado warning storm if you're watching in Sussex County. This is to the west of Wakefield right now. And this particular warning,
40 miles an hour north.
Moving at 40 miles per hour north. Thank you, Andrew.
All expire at 2:30.
And all of these expiring at 2:30. So again, the latest warning south of the one that we've been talking about in Chesterfield. This is a new warning in Sussex County, goes until 2:30. So I do want to spend some time here as well, and then we'll go back closer to the Chesterfield tornado. But this latest warning, it's in the southern corner of Sussex County. So this is to the south of Route 60. We've got heavy rain. Let's go over towards our velocity, seeing where we see some signs of rotation. There's the beginnings of some very tight rotation here. So this is going to lift towards the north, towards Route 40. At about 40 miles per hour. So these are going pretty quickly. If you're watching in Sussex County, you have some family maybe enjoying the warm day because a lot of areas are not seeing any rain. Call them, tell them to head to their safe place, get into the interior-most portion of your home. This is the southern part of Sussex County. If you're in Henry, this dangerous part of the storm is just to the east of you. If you're watching from Henry in Sussex County, this tight rotation heading towards the north, making its way closer to Route 40. I want to go back up here, widen out the view. That is the third tornado warned storm we have, but still watching one in Chesterfield County and then a second one that is heading closer to the city. So we will zoom in back closer to the city of Richmond. Still showing some very good signs of rotation. This is just now entering close to the city limits in Henrico County, has its sights over towards Highland Springs. So we've got Warwick Road, we have Route 1, and we have I-95. The area of rotation is going to cross over I-95. Then it's going to make its way into Henrico, into the east end of Henrico, close to Williamsburg Road. That is the area we're most concerned of. It is now just to the north of Bensley. Now entering the city of Richmond. We've got Route 61 here, and again, we're looking at I-95. We'll zoom in just a little bit more. That is the area we're most concerned. We have Commerce Road, we have Terminal Road. Any of these areas near the city of Richmond, please make sure that you're heading towards your safe place. Get away from windows, get away from the outdoors, just get into your safe place. And Andrew has the latest here with.
Yeah, we got a little nervous here. The one that you've been tracking in the city is very close to our studio. And we were thinking for a second maybe we would have to go to our safe space here, but we're pretty confident that this is going to be on the eastern side, or to the east of where we are. Okay, let's set the stage here. For just tuning in, if your alarm went off on your phone and you're watching us, and thanks for choosing us, we're doing our best to keep you safe. We'll set the stage here with what we've been talking about for days, that we have a tornado watch in effect, that we have a severe weather threat. Now, the tornado watch is set to expire in an hour, but the way it looks now, this may continue longer than that. We're going to keep on tracking this for you. So it is this line that we think the severe weather threat is now diminished out on the west side of it, but there are 3 separate tornado warnings, all expiring at 2:30. And there are 3 cells that are very clearly, and we'll show it to you on the map here, very clearly rotating. And I've been looking at Twitter. There's some storm chasers out there that are saying they're seeing that rotation, but it's elevated. And that's the best we can hope for at this point, that these storms stay elevated. And there's that one right there in central Chesterfield County. It's going to take a similar path. And I do want to mention this one down here in Sussex County. I mean, that one is a scary looking storm. And we've looked at the velocity data on there, and it's showing up a little bit different because it's closer. But the velocity data was impressive down there. So that tornado warning is for basically all of Sussex. You want to take cover. And let's talk about this. I'm a parent. There are a lot of parents out there watching, and they're going, oh, my goodness, there's a tornado warning where my kid is. I got to go get my kid. I got to keep my kid safe. I am pretty sure that my wife, who's safe at home, is not going to head out into this weather as I'm working. And she, at the moment, she had the potential to go out and go into it. But this is not the time to go into it. Now, that said, for the west end of Henrico and the far western portion of Chesterfield County, you are not under a tornado warning. And we don't see anything rotating back in that direction. I'm going to say that one more time. The west end of Henrico County, these are those of you that are basically Glen Allen over to Short Pump down to Tuckahoe, including Laurel Lakes. You're not under a tornado warning. You're not on the west side of the city, and for the large chunk of Midlothian and western Chesterfield, you're not either. But there are 2 lined up in order, 2 tornado warnings that are going to expire in 24 minutes, although they may be extended, sitting right on top of of a super populous, or the most populous portion of Central Virginia. So this line here that you see going right through the city from about Route 10 up straight through the north side, so the eastern side of the city, if you're on the east end or in the financial district or in the Fan, actually this line goes right through the east side of the Fan. But if you're in that area, and by the way, we are outside of that. We're right about here on Midlothian Turnpike. So we are not in, where Megan and Rachel and I and our production team is right now. We are not in the warning. So that's why we're still here and we're not in our safe place. But the warning area includes places in eastern Henrico like Highland Springs, and then heads up toward Mechanicsville in Hanover County. That's right here. So going across the Chickahominy River, that little sliver of Hanover County. So let's look now at the storm relative mean velocity. And we can see that rotation basically sitting right on top of, and I'm going to look at, I'm going to query this data, and that means I'm going to look at it and see what kind of shear we're looking at. And those numbers at 20, there's a 50, we get to 60, 70 mile an hour shear, we have a higher level of concern. So these numbers don't look any worse than what we've seen so far. And our weather app, in my voice, just told me that there's heavy precipitation nearby. I know a lot of times people hear my voice and they go, yeah, no duh, there's heavy precipitation nearby. But yes, we have rain all over the place. And I should show you, there are a lot of places that are getting rain that are not dealing with that severe threat. So there's that one potential tornadic thunderstorm that looks like it's basically hovering right over the east end of the city, and it'll be working its way out 360, out Mechanicsville Turnpike toward Mechanicsville, and we'll see if that one holds together. Then you have this other one. And although the warning goes all the way down into southern Chesterfield County, and that's Lake Chesson right there, the southern portion of the county is doing a lot better, and we look at the velocity, and man, can you see that one? I mean, that is an absolute, very clear, what we call couplet of an area of storminess that is rotating, or a cloud that is rotating, a funnel cloud that's rotating. And we talked about these places before, same areas. So Route 10 and 288, I mean, this is a deja vu situation all over again as we're warning the same areas. You're in a tornado warning if you're at Route 10 and 288, and that one is going to sort of fill into the same tornado warning that's ongoing. So this one will probably go away in 10, 15, 20 minutes, and it'll fill right into a renewed one that'll head right to the south side of the city of Richmond. So two distinct cells, one in central Chesterfield County. And so again, as we talk about the threat level, east end near the eastern side of Henrico and in Chesterfield, meaning that for those of you that are at the Swift Creek Reservoir, you're not in a warning. Western Chesterfield not in a warning. Bonaire is not, although it's raining pretty hard. And the west end, this is the west end of Henrico County. So out towards Short Pump, the 271 Pouncey Track corridor, the Route 6 or Gaskins or Perrin, all that, all the folks that live, and there are a lot of people out there in the west end of Henrico, that is Chippenham, which turns into Perham in Henrico County. Now, when you get to where Perham runs into 95, you're really close to that tornado warning. But let's track this for you. Let's see if we can find where the circulation is. That appears to be weakening. I'm going to zoom out just a touch here. If that would weaken, that would be absolutely great. That would make my day, because this is in a really bad spot to have a couplet like that. That's the storm relative mean velocity. That's a regular velocity. Yeah, these are still rotating, in particular the one down in Chesterfield County. So if this one holds together, I'm going to put a track on that one. I'll put a squall line on it. These are moving to the north at about 35 miles an hour. Let me pan first. And again, if you're just tuning in, we have multiple tornado warnings. If your phone is telling you that you're under a tornado warning, please take shelter. And you want to go into the most interior room of your house or the basement if you can. We think there's an elevated potential. Let me clear that real quick. There's a potential here that this storm is going to stay up and is not going to actually touch down, but we can't rule it out. So this is going to be lifting to the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. And if it holds together, you're talking about Chickahominy, the Brandy Creek Estates. That's an old data set. Obviously, that's now, I think, Mechanicsville High School. The name hasn't changed in our data set. Apologies for that. Buckeye and Corinth Fork. There's the school here. Again, that's not Lee Davis anymore. I think that's Mechanicsville High School now. But those folks in Hanover County, I think they're in that warning, and they likely are taking shelter. So, all right, we've lost the southern end now of this warning. Does this one still go to 2:30? Or yeah, we have another. Is that still 2:30? Okay, so we still have 3 tornado warnings, 3 of them until 2:30. Southern portion of Chesterfield County, you can come out of your safe place. The west side as well of Chesterfield County, and the north side, let me make sure I'm a little bit more precise with that. The Midlothian Turnpike corridor, you're safe. Western Henrico safe. And the far west side, and we're talking the portion of Richmond that's south of the river, that's out near like the Cherokee Road area, you're safe as well. But on the east side of town, not only is there a potential tornado that is being warned, and I'll show that to you on the map here. That one is right about here. That one, let me put a circle around the 2 potential tornadoes. So you have one that's right on the east end and another one in Chesterfield County. Now we're saying potential tornadoes because although we very clearly see them rotating, we have yet to have reports of touchdown. And we've been looking at some storm chasers that are out there, and they're saying that they're seeing elevated rotation. And elevated rotation would be a good thing. We want elevated off the ground. We want these not to touch down. In addition to that, and apologies here to the folks down in Sussex County, there's a tornado warning in Sussex County as well. Let's see if I can find that one on the map here, which looks like, yeah, that's right about there. And that one's also drifting to the north, and I'll put a squall line on that. That one's drifting to the north at about 35 miles an hour. So in Sussex County, a large chunk of Sussex County, including Waverly, you need to be taking shelter as well. So Waverly 230, in Barnum at 240, in Homeville at 219, in Annie B. Jackson Elementary School. And I've been to a lot of elementary schools, and I've never been to that one, but it says it's on the map there at 232 in Sussex County. So Jackson Elementary School. Let's talk a little bit about elementary schools. We got a note from Chesterfield County, and it said, please tell parents not to go out and try to, rescue the kids, the students, from severe weather. They have severe weather plans at schools, and they are doing their best to get the kids in a safe space. And often the schools, I know the school that my kids go to is better built than our home is. I mean, it's made out of solid stuff, so you would think people are safe. Now, when we talked this morning about the timing of this, and I think Megan had this last night as well at 11 o'clock. We were really focusing on this line that we saw in the computer models, and now it's literally happening. We said from 11 to 3, and I think at 11:30 we had our first tornado warning down into Brunswick, and it's just slowly shifting to the east. This is going to take a while here. It's going to take a while before that line, which is basically right along Interstate 95, keeps on and pushing to the north and to the east. So are we under a tornado warning right now? I think we just got one. Our phones are going off because I think they took that one in Chesterfield County and put one right on top of the city of Richmond. So let's look real quick at where we are, and let's think about us here taking our safe space. Let me zoom out here, and then I'm going to recenter. Oh my gosh, so they're all layered on top of each other. Let's zoom in. Megan and Rachel, I'm open to your suggestions here. I think that one's until 2:45, and I think the one at 2:30. So we have multiple. They basically added a layer. Let's look at the velocity. I think this will do the better job at telling us what's going on. So this one, this is the warning that you just heard our phones go off for, right? So this one is in Chesterfield County. This is going to ride up Route 10 toward Chippenham. So this is Chippenham right here, which is on the edge of Chesterfield County. Excuse me, it's in between Chesterfield and the city. So that's Chippenham right there. Here's Midlothian, and where we are, I'm going to draw a circle where we are. Our general manager is in the studio as well, just making sure that we're staying safe. And we are, let me get it on the map here again. There's Midlothian and there's Chippenham. So we're right there, just to sort of set the stage for you. And we're going to be watching that very carefully as it moves close. So if you're under a tornado warning now, you need to take shelter. The warning that's down here, that one I think expires at 2:30. You can sort of picture that one as not being there, as that is basically to cover this cell. But now we're covering it with two separate tornado warnings. The one that goes till 2:45 is the one that's a little bit more important and noteworthy. And then there's a potential continuation of this warning, which is slated to expire in 15 minutes. And that goes up in Hanover, and if that holds together, that goes up through Mechanicsville and follows 360, or maybe even 301 up north toward King William County. So let's look again at the velocity map here. There's that one potential rotating thunderstorm in the east end, near Highland Springs, down in between the city and Highland Springs. And this one, which is quite strong, which is along Route 10 right now. If this one gets closer, we have a very good eye on it here with the radar data. If this one gets closer to where we are, we will be taking shelter. And so Megan and Rachel, might be time to sort of talk to our general manager about our potential plans. I think what we would do is leave the signal up, and we would be going into a safe place, and hopefully you could still hear us broadcast. But at the moment, it looks like that one I think is going to slide just to the east of us, even though those of us that are, and we're about a mile east of Chippenham and Midlothian. In the Stonebridge Plaza, there's a Kroger there, a lot of stuff there, but we're to the east of it. I mean, we're to the west of it, sorry. A mile to the So, sorry, we're actually a mile to the east. I got myself backwards. So we're a mile to the east, so we're about right here. So we're going to watch this very closely. This is now just a few miles away, that potential tornado, a few miles away from us. We have not seen anything touch down as of yet.
Flash flood warning.
Okay, now we have a flash flood warning for the entire area. Man, is there a lot going on here. Layered upon layer of concern. Is that a warning or is that a flash flood or flood warning?
Flash flood warning until 4:15.
Flash flood warning until 4:15. Okay, so that's not that that's of less importance. In fact, for a lot of you, it may be of more importance. And the reason, I guess the point here is, and we look at the heavy rain that we've had some downpours here. And so this is in a portion of the Commonwealth that is, there's a lot of pavement here. And when you have a lot of pavement, it's hard to get that to drain. So there's some very heavy rain now that's on the western side of the city of Richmond. And also some very heavy rain from Varina down toward the Tri-Cities. So the map, again, is complicated. It is all piled up on top of each other. But basically, southern Chesterfield County, west end of Henrico, western Chesterfield, the concern level is low. Western Hanover, same deal. As we're watching a line, and I'll show you the radar picture, we're watching a line, and this is what we were talking about this morning. Right along Interstate 95, on the southern edge of a line, we have a tornado warning in Sussex County, and that one looks very much like a tornado. And we have had the returns on radar that have sweep after sweep of radar showed us rotating thunderstorms or funnel clouds up in the air. We just haven't seen the reports of anything touching down yet. That may change. Hopefully it doesn't change. Let me zoom in real quick. And the cameras you see there, we have our Chapman Pepper camera. Are we actually catching the bottom of that over here? If you look over here, we might actually be getting the bottom of that thunder cell. I can't see through the rain what direction we're looking. I think we're looking straight to the south, and that would make sense. That's where that storm is. It's to the right there. Let's leave it right there. Whoever's running that Troutman Pepper camera, and let's pan back to the east a little bit, and I think you'll get a better view of it. But it's that right there, and man, is that a total just sort of mess of warnings. We think that the potential tornadic thunder cell is right here. So this is along Chippenham and Route 10 in Chesterfield County, and if that holds together, let's pan our way to the north. If that holds together, that works its way up Route 10 and then right up through the city of Richmond, right up through the financial district, and then over into Henrico County. And pulling out a little bit, pulling out wider again to show you what's going on. There's a lot of rain. There are multiple tornado warnings layered on top of each other, but 3 distinct cells that we're watching. So I'm going to jump ahead here and take a quick look, and just a reminder, if you are under a tornado warning, what you do. And again, it's this line here. We're actually getting sun popping out of western Chesterfield County. That's the line that we identified this morning. That's the line we have had rotation with from Sussex all the way up through Chesterfield into the city of Richmond. That line will be sliding to the east. I'm going to skip past the hour-by-hour forecast. This is important. A lot of us don't have basements. That'd be the safest place. But if you're under a tornado warning and you have the NBC12 weather app, but it's telling you that your area is under a warning, a safe space is the place to be. Now, this is a different situation than a lot, because we may have a tornado warning and then another one with another cell coming in behind it. But your safest place is as far away from the outdoors as you can get. As many walls in between you and the outdoors as you can get. If you look and you see a window where you are right now, in addition to the TV or whatever device you're using to stream us, you want to put more walls in between you and the outdoors. Do not be looking outside in that situation. Central portion of the home is where you want to be. So I think, Megan, in 9 minutes, we likely will be seeing the National Weather Service sort of clean this up a little bit, in that we're going to see fewer of these warnings in place. But there's one in Sussex, and there's several on top of each other, but that one will probably fall off the map. In addition, there's a flash flood warning, so this is if you see high water, you got to be really careful. Are you sending something out, Megan, or are you ready to roll in? But and Megan, by the way, you can follow Megan on Twitter. She's doing a great job of tweeting out information here. But we think that what you're seeing here in the Troutman Pepper camera over there on the screen, I think that's actually the potential rotating thunderstorm that we're looking at right now just on the south side of the city. And the one on the eastern portion of the city right there, the one we're seeing on the eastern portion of the city, I'm going to zoom in. Did you switch over already, Megan? On the eastern side of the city, let's just zoom into that one. That one is still holding on to what looks to be, I wonder if my My clicking is not working here. It might be time to pass off to Megan. But right in there, just on the eastern and northern side of Henrico County, heading over the Chickahominy River, that is headed out, it looks like, into Hanover County. And, oh, there's an extension. Did you see that? They just extended it. So, yeah, and let's see, I've got Weather 2 chosen. And I'm going to hit on the map. There we go. So now, oh my gosh, is this a mess? Now, there's really basically 2 cells here, even though it looks like a total mess. You've got that one that now is expected to go through Mechanicsville and up over the Pamunkey River into King William County. And then there's another one that's in the northern portion of Chesterfield heading into the city. All right, Megan, in addition, I shouldn't forget Sussex County. Oh, there's one there as well. All right, Megan. So, and still, in my time on TV there, nothing... We have reports of anything touching down.
We have not had any confirmation of anything touching the ground. We have also not had any reports of any damage yet, so that is great. Hopefully we can escape this with 0 damage. I do, though, want to start here first with our Skycam picture. This is the tornado-warned storm. This is pointing towards the storm in Chesterfield County right now. This is the area of rotation that is making its way just to the west of Bensley, and it does have its sights set on the city of Richmond. So that was one of the tornado warnings that we're watching with 2 areas of rotation. But you can see here with this storm, we have not had confirmation of anything touching the ground from this vantage point. Also not seeing anything, but I think we're going to go back to this because I think it's a strong picture of what's heading our way. A very dangerous storm that has the potential to perhaps have a tornado come down to the ground here. So this is approaching the city of Richmond from our Troutman Pepper cam. So we'll continue to go back to this image, but this is the dangerous storm we're watching right now, with one of the 3 tornado-warned storms that we are continuing to track. So let's go on over to Weather 1, show the radar picture and the several tornado warnings that we're following. I do want to spend some time, though, on the tornado-warned storm that is making its way through the city of Richmond right now. We are looking at that tornado warning to go until 2:45. And the areas we're watching closely right now, Bensley, 2:25. I'm just going to walk a little closer to the camera so I can zoom in a little closer here to the areas that we're most concerned of. I'm going to put my phone down for that. We'll go back to this, over to the pan, and then I'll get a little closer here. So we have 1 tornado warning that is going until 2:45. It's this area of rotation that we're watching the most, and it's moving to the northeast. All of these storms moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So it is past Route 10 at this point. It is right along 360, and as we pan a little farther towards the north here, we're looking at the velocity, again showing us that area of rotation. Here's where we're most concerned of. This is the area we're watching very close to Warwick Road. It's moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So as we look at this area in particular, this is Route 161, just very close to Route 10. We have Hopkins Road, and this is going to lift into the city of Richmond here. So if you are in the East End, Highland Springs, if you're in downtown Richmond, we need to make sure that we are entering our safe place right now. We have, again, this rotating thunderstorm. No confirmation that it has touched the ground at this point, but you can see the 2 vantage point cameras behind me. That top right on your screen is this storm that I'm tracking right now. So as we continue to watch this lift towards the northeast, we'll continue to watch that camera closely as well, and you can see nothing reaching the ground at this point. However, it could at any minute. So if you, again, are in the path of this storm, please make sure that you're getting into your safe place. Still looking at an area of some tight rotation. This is very close to Hopkins Road, close to Cofer Road. We have the path of this storm into North Hopkins Road, also looking at Harwood Street. So these are just some of the roads that will be in the path of this one particular cell that we're watching closely. You can see it's going to make its way into South Richmond, and then it's going to cross over the James River, and it looks like it's going to be on the eastern side of the metro, over towards Rockets Landing, and then eventually making its way into Hanover County, very close to Highland Springs, but Mechanicsville, you need to get into your safe place right now with this particular area of rotation. That's 1 out of 3 tornado warned storms that we're watching. I do want to go back to the Sussex County storm in case you're watching from Sussex County. I want to make sure you all are safe as well. Doesn't look quite as strong as what it did a few moments ago, but this is just to the southwest of Waverly here. This is the area we're watching in Sussex County. So this tornado warned storm goes until 2:30. It's now just to the north of Route 35. So if you're in Sussex County or in the northern part of Sussex County, please make sure you're heading into your safe place right now, away from windows to the north of Route 35. And this is moving at about 40 miles per hour. So this will take it closer to Route 460 and then making its way into Prince George County. So we will see if that gets a continuation of the warning, if that's expanded. Right now, it is not. Hopefully we can get that circulation to break apart. But what we've seen with these storms are the atmosphere is just conducive to allow these storms to rotate. There's nothing really that it's running into that's helping break them apart or weakening them at all. The one good thing we've come with out of this is that at least we haven't had any confirmation of any of them touch the ground. The new warning that we have that does include portions of Hanover County and into King William County. I do want to zoom in on that one. That was the latest second area of rotation near the city of Richmond. That one doesn't look quite as pronounced. So this is very close to I-295, and it's going to continue. It may just be cycling. What that means is it has some tight rotation, loses a little bit of its characteristics for a couple of minutes, and then regains that strength. So we'll watch it closely, but right around in here, this is Hanover County, very close to Atlee Road. And this will continue to make its way towards the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So Studley Road, if you're in these areas between Atlee Road, close to Mechanicsville, Studley Road in Hanover County, please make sure you're in your safe place just to be on the safe side with that particular warning that we also have. Also following, you may have heard Rachel and Andrew talk about it not long ago, we do have a flash flood warning. Can't forget about that. Flash flooding is dangerous in and of itself. We've had a lot of rain that has fallen out of these thunderstorms. So in and around the city of Richmond, I hope no one is traveling. But after these rotating thunderstorms exit our area, we will have to contend with some localized flooding. We are seeing ongoing flash flooding. Does include all of Metro Richmond, includes northern Chesterfield County, and does include a portion of the East End. So please use caution once we get the tornado warnings to expire. We don't want anyone on the roads at this point, as we have several tornado warnings that are ongoing. 2 right now, very close to the city of Richmond. That's highlighted by this tornado warning box, and then the one that extends up into Hanover County. And it does look like the one that I showed you down in Sussex County has expired right when it should at 2:30. It had very broad signs of rotation, so we are now down 1 tornado warning. That's great news. So we will continue to focus on these 2 particular areas. One that is making its way close to the city of Richmond, and then that second one. So let's go back to our velocity picture. We need to zoom in close here. The brighter the colors, you can see my eye went right to that, just because that's showing some strong signs of rotation. So let's zoom back into that 1 tornado warning storm. This looks like a new tornado warning. It looks like they did decide to expand that. This is making its way now into Prince George County, now Charles City County. You have a new tornado warning. So if you are in the northern part of Sussex County, including Waverly, almost all of Prince George County now included in a tornado warning until 3 o'clock, and that does include southern Charles City County. If you are watching from this area, we're watching a new storm that is showing signs of rotation. I do want to go back into the city of Richmond very closely first because we're still seeing some very strong signs of rotation. Now seeing some pinks and yellows. So we're looking at some very good rotation. Whenever we start to see some different colors, could be looking at some debris lofting, maybe some tree branches. And this is right along I-95. We have Commerce Street. We're looking at Decatur Street right along Route 1. And this is Dock Street here. So we are in the Metro Richmond city limits here. If you are near East 4th Street, Morey Street, Dinwiddie Avenue here, right along 295, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place right now. We have Dinwiddie Avenue. This particular area, starting to see some yellow and pink here. So that's a little different than the reds and greens where we're seeing that tight rotation. Tells us that something might be flying a little higher. So this is an area that we're really needing to hone in on. We've got Stockton Street, 6th Street, 7th Street, Manchester area in particular. Very close to I-95. If you're in Manchester right now, please make sure that you are in your safe place. We are going to be watching this storm go northeast over the river, past Manchester, into the city of Richmond itself. So the latest scan here, we'll pan just a little bit farther towards the north. Still seeing some shades of pink here. So meaning strong signs of rotation, more concerning. In that area we're watching closely. This is the city of Richmond. You can see the buildings right here. This is over towards Rockets Landing. It looks like we have I-95. We've got the little bit of Manchester here. And this would be the flood wall area. We have Rockets Landing. We have Shockoe Bottom here. This would be the area, if you're listening, up towards Church Hill. Make sure that you're in your safe place. We've got some very strong signs of rotation. Again, we have not had confirmation that anything has touched the ground, but this particular area right now is showing some decent signs here. So we'll wait for the next radar scan and see if we continue to watch this particular area. Hopefully weaken some, but we have East Marshall Street. Again, this is very close to downtown Richmond, Shockoe Bottom area as you head up towards Church Hill, Jackson Ward area up here. That's the area where we're finding the most dangerous part of the storm. So as this continues to track towards the northeast, it's going to be making its way closer to Venable Street, up towards Fairfield Avenue. We have 28th Street. This is going to continue to track towards the northeast and then eventually cross over I-64. So please just wait. If you have to do any traveling and you're on the east side of town here, you want to make sure you just hold off on your travel plans here. It'll take it up towards Central Gardens. Still seeing some strong rotation here. This is now making the worst part, it looks like, out of Metro Richmond, but moving just past the city now into portions of Central Gardens. This is now entering about the eastern side of Henrico, the east end here, and that's going to lift closer to Central Gardens, Cleary Road, and again, very close to I-64 here. So that's the area we're watching very closely. So if you're in those particular spots that I've named, please just make sure you are in your safe place right now. I do want to zoom back here and look at what else we have. This is a very strong tornado signature as well. So let's go up to this one. This is the second area of rotation with another tornado warned storm. So this is Hanover County and into the northern parts of King William County. So if you're just to the northwestern corner of King William County, very close to Mangohick area, I need you to start thinking about where you're going to go here for your safe place, because you do have a very strong sign of some rotation that is heading your way. And I think we need to go back to weather 2 or weather 1 here so I can show the area of very strong rotation, thank you, that is making its way through Hanover County. So look at this couplet here, we call it. Brighter the colors, the more pronounced the rotation. Hopefully this does not make it to the ground, but it does signify that we have a very dangerous storm. That's why it is tornado warned. So again, this is very close to the Mechanicsville. This is Pine Hill. This is Pole Green Road. This is very close to where you get your Hanover tomatoes, the festival, if you're familiar with that area. Just to the south here of Studley. So if you're in Studley, I need you to head to your safe place. This tight rotation is heading to the northeast here, close to Studley. We have Woodlawn Farm Drive. This is Hanover County, very close to Buckeye, very close to Summerhill Road. That tight rotation, again, we have not had confirmation that it's on the ground, but we need to take it seriously as it makes its way through Hanover County, path towards Studley, and then it's going to cross over the line of Hanover into King William County. And it looks like we have, again, King William County would be on the fringe of this. So it looks like we have several updates here coming on in. I do want to zoom out here. If you're just tuning in, let's all get our bearings straight. So I'll widen out the picture. A couple of shots you see here behind me. Upper right hand of your screen, taking a look towards downtown Richmond. Starting to see a little brightening of the skies. Worst part of the storm now making its way towards the north and northeast. As we look towards the bottom right hand of your screen, we're looking at our camera here in South Richmond. Ton of cloud cover. We've seen rain. We've also seen a good deal of some thunder and lightning. And as we look at all of these red boxes, if we can go back over to weather 1, we can take a wider picture of what we're looking at. And then we will give you an update as to...
Did they switch over to weather 2?
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay, I guess I'll
If
slide
Andrew would like to give the next update
Yeah,
here.
so there are 4 tornado warnings, but we think only 3 potential. But we think only 3 potential tornadoes. And so that warning you see over the city and this one are for the same cell. In this one in eastern Hanover, heading up into King William for a separate cell, and the one that's down here in Sussex County, heading over into Charles City County, that is for a completely different cell. So there are 3 cells that we are watching, all with the potential to produce tornadoes. And the one that's down here in Sussex County, or lifting out of Sussex toward Prince George, basically the entire James River shoreline of Prince George, and including the southern portion of Charles City County. Now, remarkably, and there's another one that's that Megan or Rachel just pulled up on their computer that's down near Franklin, but we're going to ignore that for a moment. It's east of Franklin. So there are 3 separate here, and I think it might be helpful if we go back to the full screen, because I'm not so sure that we're going to be capturing that on our cameras. But we just want to really set the stage here. So this one is a tornado warning, and if you're in Charles City County or Prince George, that tornado warning is going to expire at 3. Now, it could continue and go up into New Kent County. So that's our first one. And then in basically the most populous portion of Central Virginia, right on top of the city. I mean, we're talking Manchester. You heard Megan talking about the financial district, and then lifting off north, although that is one and then that is another one. They're the same storm. So when we look at the time that it'll potentially expire, it's important to look at this one. And so that tornado warning is going to expire at 3:15. So we have, 35 minutes to go here on that one. And then the other one that is back here expires at 2:45, that in King William. So now let's look at what's happening with rotation. And we should mention, we have been on the air since 11:30-ish. And we have yet to see major power outages due to a tornado dropping down to the ground. And we have yet to see reports, although I could fire up here this graphic here and take a look at our storm reports and seeing if anybody's reporting anything. And our storm reports, as far as we can tell, aside from maybe a funnel cloud that was slighted and there's some flooding, we have that flash flood warning that's ongoing in the city. But aside from someone spotting a funnel cloud in Brunswick County, we've seen some of our storm spotters that are out there who have seen rotating thunderstorms, but we haven't had reports of anything touched down. This is a day when we have tornado warning after tornado warning after tornado warning, and we're not saying to let your guard down, but we're saying at least as of now, these appear to be staying elevated, to be staying off the ground. And let's set the stage with the radar picture. And if you watched us this morning, and we were talking last night about a line that would move through from 11 to 3. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has expanded the time of the tornado watch. The tornado watch box now goes until 6. So we're under tornado watch until 6. But this is the line here that, as you can see, is producing severe weather and has the potential, as it goes up into the northern neck and the middle peninsula, to continue to produce some severe weather, or at least potential severe weather. It is, we have been, we have experience in looking at radar data, as does the National Weather Service. And they don't call a tornado warning unless there's very clear signs that there's something rotating. And as we look at our velocity map here, there's one rotating in Prince George. Hopefully here, let's look at the storm relative mean velocity. Hopefully we can start to see things, diminish, but we've been sort of hopeful that that would be the case for a while. But you have one cell that's rotating here in the northern portion of Hanover County. This is along River Road, so this would be that'd be the Pamunkey River, I think, that'll be working its way east over the 360 bridge takes you up towards Central Garage and takes you up toward Manquin. But there's the rotation right there. And we haven't had any touchdowns, even though we continue to query this data, and we see gate-to-gate shear at 50, 60, at times 70 miles an hour. It's been a remarkable day, and so we urge you not to let your guard down. And if you're under one of these tornado warnings, we're looking at that data. That is a rotating storm. And let me zoom out just a touch. But that's where it is right there. And that's going to be going up over the river and then heading up toward King William. This is King William County right here, and then this is King and Queen. So you're talking Central Garage and then up to Manquin. I think you're east of the storm track. This is going to be heading to the northern portion of Hanover County. And I've got some hope. Let me use the pan button here. I've got some hope that we're seeing less rotation there, but we've sort of been hopeful for a while here. There's a velocity, and here's a quick look at the radar again. Now, listen, if you have a child who is in school in Chesterfield County, they are not under a tornado warning, and they do not need to be sheltering. And I would imagine the buses are going to be relatively normal, although, full of some anxious staff members and kids in Chesterfield. If you have kids that are on the western side of Henrico County, and the high schools out here are Godwin, Freeman, Tucker, Deep Run, the middle schools, Quioccasin, Moody, Short Pump. These areas out in western Henrico, you should have safe kids who would probably be on some delayed form or fashion getting home from school. And same deal in all of our Chesterfield counties. It is a different story on the north side. So speaking of Henrico, the schools like Henrico High and Hermitage are still under a tornado warning. However, we think that cell, no, it's close by. We think that cell is lifting up here into Hanover County. So there are basically two now of note. Let me look really quickly again at the velocity. I think it's this cell here and then another one. So that's pulling away now from the north side of Henrico County. But there are two of those out there as we set the map up here for you, that tornado watch box. Okay, so we lost the one in the city, almost a little sliver of the north side of the city, but it's pulling out of Henrico County and now entering the eastern side from about 301 in Hanover County and east. That's where we've got a concern. Ashland, I-95 in Hanover County, not in the warning. All of western Hanover County, out toward Patrick Henry High School, and out toward Scotchtown and up toward Beaver Dam, you are not in a tornado warning. On the central and a sliver of the eastern side of Hanover County, you're under that warning, and you're in it in the northern portion, in the most interior portion of King William County. In addition, we've got this tornado warning down here in Sussex County. As we look at the velocity here, we were slated to have one of these expire at 2:45. It did. Did it just expire? Oh, so now we have three. Okay, so the 2:45 one was the one for the city. And so now we have three more tornado warnings that are still active. And let's take a quick look at where they are here. This one is the tornado warning that's up in for Hanover County and portions of King and Queen and even in Caroline, and that was until 3:15. Clear that off. And then this one goes, I think, till 3 o'clock, or 3:15 as well. And although it says the city of Richmond in there, the city of Richmond is now, we think, done with the severe portion of that storm. And then there's another tornado warning that expires at 3 o'clock. And this one is heading, we think, out of, let me move the map here for you. That one is coming out of Prince George County over the James River, that's the James River there, up into southern portion of Charles City County. And a remarkable day when we've had hours of continuing coverage and still no reports of damage. Lots of thunder, lots of lightning, lots of heavy rain, and everything is basically shifting now east. And I'll go wider on the map here, or show you the map again with the warnings, and take a look at our wide view. But you can get a picture as to the line, and this is why this morning we were saying 11 to 3. Now, we're approaching 3, and this is holding together and moving into a pretty humid environment. So we have to extend our concern level to probably about 4, 5, or 6, as this line is going to be sliding off to the east. So that's the northern neck, that's the Middle Peninsula. If you're there, you don't have warnings now, but we want you to be, well, I guess a portion of the Middle Peninsula does. And then this one down here that's moving up south and east of Franklin is a continuation of that line. So let's look at the map here again one more time, and I'm going to try to see if I can dial in on where I think the rotations are. Let's zoom in here real quick and look at the storm relative mean velocity again. So there are 2 out there. Let me go back to the map and then the storm relative mean velocity and see if I can map these up or match them up. And that's that flash flood warning. Just be careful in and around the city because there are some reports of high water, but we would hope that things will have subsided. But that line, I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of an unwinding here. But let's take a look at the query here. And this is northern Henrico County. These gate-to-gate shear numbers are not as impressive as it's lifting up over 295 and heading up into Hanover County. Still some spin there. And then one more look, let's zip to this one and try to figure out where that one is as well. And that looks like more of a broad level of circulation. The warning for those of you in the basically centered on top of King William County, the western portion of King William County, if you look at the storm relative velocity, it looks like it's kind of unwinding a little bit as well. So those warnings will continue here. We've got some hope that as this moves its way to the east, boy, I feel like I've been saying broken record that we hope, but they keep on rotating, they keep on spinning. Let's talk quickly. Let me see if I can go back to a view that shows you the satellite and radar. So there's sun back here into Dinwiddie and Greensville County. That may destabilize a little bit. Powhatan, you're getting some sun, but the severe weather threat is way lower back here. And I'll go back to the wider view. Way lower out on the western side of this line versus the eastern side of this line. And although we still have a tornado watch box that's in effect, and it's been extended until 6 o'clock, this is really the line that actually, when it formed down in North Carolina about 10:30 or so this morning, that's the line that we had the concern about, and that's going to be sliding to the east. So let's take a squall on this. I'm going to look at the velocity map here, try to identify where these are. I think they're getting a little bit weaker, but I'm going to look anyway at the squall line and try to see where we think this is going to be going. So this is from central Hanover County, moving to the northwest at about 35 miles an hour. The areas in the safe space, if you're in Mango Hick, we should have mentioned you, apologies, at 3 o'clock. That's a concern level for you. Beulahville at about 311, at 314 in Bagby. But you can see the northern neck, Middle Peninsula, you don't have really much of a concern at the moment, although this line could slide east and come your way. It's been a remarkably slow process of seeing this storm system move through. As this is a spiraling band, I'm going to try to get to a wider view here, but a spiraling band of rain associated with, and as we've talked about, we've been leading up to this, associated with the remnants now of Nicole, which are heading up through the mountains. So a few showers still left on the west side of town, but in terms of the severe weather threat, it looks to be holding on for those of us in Hanover County, stretching up into King William, and there's 9 minutes left on one of these, and the other two go to 3:15. And so now, in places like West Point, Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, you should be making sure that you know your plans as you head through the rest of the day. As we're getting some sun popping up, it's going to be stuff like this down here toward the west of Emporia that we're going to have to continue to watch and see if there's any rotation with these. Let me just see if we see anything spinning down here, and that's over in Mecklenburg County, and that one looks like it's okay. And in terms of thunder and lightning, there's really nothing on the back edge of it. It's all only in those cells that were potentially tornadic thunderstorms that are lifting from Hanover County up into King William. If you're in King William, you need to have your safe space. And let's zoom in here on the areas in King William County where you're going to want to be taking shelter. Right now, you should be in your safe space if you are right along Route 30, and 30 and 360 I think come together in Central Garage, so north and west of there, and then Manquin is up the road in King and Queen County. But you want to be taking shelter in this area, and we'll zoom in a little bit more to give you an idea. And while I'm doing this, just a quick note, Megan and Rachel, let me know how you feel about the rotation of these cells in terms of if you see anything. It kind of looks to me, as I'm diving into it, it looks like there's a little bit less of a rotation. So let's quickly zoom in. So if you're in this portion of King William County, Tuck Fork, Smoky Road, Globe, Epworth, Nelson's Bridge Road, these are places when you should be. I know it's kind of weird because we've been through hours here of coverage where we haven't had anything touch down, but if you're under a tornado warning, there is something nearby that has the potential to rotate. And that storm relative velocity that we keep looking at gives us a really good picture as to where there's rotation. And it looks to me like it's kind of unwinding a little bit up into King William County. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I don't see as discrete of a cell there, and I don't see as discrete of a cell in Hanover County. That said, we continue to have these warnings on here. Let me go back to the map that has the warnings on it. And I do want to highlight that these are east of town. Let's talk quickly about, I know there are a lot of parents that might be tuning in and your phone has made all sorts of alarms. City of Richmond, aside from the flash flood warning, Henrico County, Chesterfield County, Hopewell, Colonial Heights, Petersburg, Dinwiddie, not in any sort of warning. And other than high water, the danger level for you, we don't think is that high, right? You could run into some high water in the metro area. But you should have clear sailing. There's some rain out there, but you're not in any sort of warning. And we don't think the next stuff that's coming in is going to be producing for us another round of warnings. It's something we're going to be watching. Now our attention is basically moving east of town, New Kent, Charles City County, and then heading up north of town as well, up through portions of King William County and central Hanover County. All right, I'm going to head over to Megan, and she's going to track these storms for us.
Okay, Andrew mentioned one of the areas that I was going to highlight was over towards our east here. We have a large tornado warned box here, and it does include portions of Prince George County and also into portions of Surrey County. But I do think if you're in Charles City County and also in New Kent County, you need to start thinking about your preparations of getting into your safe place here. We do have within this tornado warned storm lasting for another 5 minutes, but there are still some signs of some tight rotation. So I would not be surprised to see this warning get expanded. So that's great. We had that third warning that is in Hanover and King William that has expired. So now we just have 2 tornado warned storms. We'll wait to see if this one in Charles City County gets expanded. And I do think there are still some signs here that this is likely to be expanded into Charles City County, into New Kent County. And there's not only rotation here, but there's also some lightning, heavy rain, very close to Jordan's Point. If you're familiar with Charles City County, we're going to be near Jordan's Point in about 5 minutes. So if you're near Jordan's Point, please make sure that you're heading into your safe place. And then it will be entering Charles City County by 3:10 this afternoon. So that's in another 15 minutes. I do want to zoom in closer to these areas. I just wanted to highlight those particular towns a little more to give you some leeway if you're watching from Jordan's Point or Charles City County. So this is east of I-95. I should note here before we do this, let's go back to our entire area. If you're west of I-95 and you're tuning in, we've just got some showers from Amelia County, Nottoway County, Brunswick County. You're finally calmed down from the rotation that you've seen earlier this afternoon. A lot calmer here. Most of the activity now that we're going to be tracking looks like east of I-95. So again, 2 tornado warned storms. This one in particular, we'll zoom in close to that. That again features Charles City County, the southern part of Charles City County, and there were still some signs of rotation as we've made our way into the northern parts of Prince George County, very close to Brandon. It's just to the west of Brandon here, and when we put the velocity on, you can see we're still dealing with some heavy rain, but that area right here, still seeing a little bit of some weak rotation. So we'll wait for the next radar scan, get some more information here, but we are still seeing signs of some rotation. Didn't really change much here. But that dangerous part of this storm here is going to be crossing over. This is the county line, Charles City County and Prince George County. That is going to lift up into Charles City County. So if you're watching in the southern part of Charles City County, please just make sure you're heading into your safe place, away from windows. Many of you don't have basements, so head to that closet, to that interior-most portion of your home, and take some pillows, take some blankets, whatever you can to stay safe here. But that's the area we're most concerned of. The warning set to expire at 2 o'clock, but if we still see some signs, it was expanded?
No, that you said the timer on 3:15,
Oh.
but the other one's expired. That's the only one left now, Meg.
Great news. So this particular one goes until 3:15. The one in King William County, thank you to Rachel and Andrew for telling me that this one north of town, the storm itself is weakened. So it is not a tornado warned storm anymore. So we just have one tornado warned storm, also dealing with a flash flood warning in the city of Richmond. Let's go back to this cell again. Again, this is into Prince George County, just about to enter Charles City County. Warning goes until 3:15. So we will continue to highlight this spot right here. It's moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour, so that'll take it up into Charles City County. We have 15 minutes till the warning expires. So again, just to the west of Brandon, this is past Newville. If you're watching in Prince George County, most of the county is in the clear. If you're watching from Newville over closer to Petersburg, Disputana, you're in fine shape right now. This particular part of the dangerous storm in the tornado warning is to the north, the northern part of the county. So northern Prince George County entering Charles City County. So that's where we're watching closely here. We are going to follow this until it expires at 3:15. And we've been mentioning all day today, no reports of a touchdown. So this is great. That we've also not really picked up any damage reports, but the atmosphere is conducive for these storms to rotate. So that's why we are hoping they stay elevated and they don't have enough to reach the ground and create any of that damage. Hopefully they can stay elevated and we're not dealing with damage for the duration of these warnings. But we'll watch to see if this one gets expanded or not. But again, this is Prince George County. The warning goes until 3:15. Let's get a little closer here. See if we can get some streets very close to the county line. Again, this is west of Brandon, and here's some streets for you. So if you're familiar with Fort Powhatan Road, please make sure that you're in your safe place. We have Sandy Fields Road, very close to Willow Hall, and we also have Upper Brandon here. Not too far away from Flower Dew 100 Road, but I do think the worst part of this storm, if you're on Flower Dew 100 Road, is just to the east of you. But Fort Powhatan Road, and then making its way up towards Sandy Fields Road. See if we can get some more streets here. Very close to this storm that's moving through the northern parts of Prince George County. I'm trying to put on some streets here, and it doesn't look like it's letting me. But again, it's near. Great. This is great. So the warning has since expired. We are now looking at no tornado warnings in our area. There is one down here in southeastern Virginia that is just to the east of Franklin. That looks like it's going to track into the southeastern corner of our state here. Should not impact our viewing area with this particular storm. Let's go back and get a wider look at the radar picture. If you are anywhere east of I-95, we will continue to watch these closely. At this point, we are not seeing rotation in any of these storms.
The Brunswick one has a special weather statement, so we'll keep watching that one.
Okay, so southern Brunswick
Is rotating
Brunswick
a little.
has been a hot spot today. Starting just before lunchtime, we've had several tornado warned storms that have been issued for Brunswick County. So now again, we'll watch that one closely. Let's go down closer to Brunswick County, southern Brunswick County in particular. Zoom in here. Not a tornado warned storm yet, but it does have some hints that it could start to begin to rotate here. And this is just to the south of Powhatan. This is in southern Brunswick County. So not seeing much yet, but very close to the state line here. You can see a little bit of very weak rotation, but you've seen once they start rotating, it's very hard for them to weaken. So we'll continue to watch this area closely. If it continues to show some stronger signs of rotation and it needs a tornado warning, hopefully not, but we'll watch as this storm progresses towards the north into Powellton. So Brunswick County, we're still watching you closely. And then over towards our eastern counties, again, no tornado warnings right now, but we are dealing with just some rain and some thunderstorms. From the eastern side of Caroline County up into Essex County, we're seeing some steady rain. King and Queen County, we're seeing just a little bit of some lightning and heavy rain. Mangohick, you're seeing the heaviest rain right now in northern King William County, and also seeing some rain as we go down into portions of Hanover County. We're seeing some heavier rain in the eastern side of Hanover County. Also, thunder and lightning into portions of New Kent, Charles City, heavy rain. And then we're also seeing the heavy rain that extends down into Brandon with some lightning as well. At this point, with no active tornado warnings, we can safely say that we will get you back to regularly scheduled programming. Hopefully we don't get any more warnings the rest of the afternoon, but if we do, we'll of course give you the first alert, and we'll see you then. We'll see you also for First at 4.